Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I am starting the class. Moish should be here shortly. Thank you all for tuning in. Just give us a few minutes and he will be in shortly. Remember, this portion is where we give our law. So if you have a law or you can get your law to bring forward for the community, you will pick any law except for the first 10 with an explanation. You can type it in the chat as well. And also remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and press the bell for notifications. All right. Toda Rabah, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back to our class. Thank you very much for being here.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
So this portion of the day, we start off with our commandments. So get your commandments together so we can present our commandments to the Creator, to the Most High, before all the people. We had a marathon earlier today, and the marathon is just about done. Marathon just about done. If there's any questions or comments, let's get started. What do we got here today? Sister Saadia. Sister Saadia and Sister Higdalia. We got quite a few, and everybody ain't saying nothing though. But that's all right. We're going to get this thing going. All right. Any questions, anyone, before we get moving?
1 second.
We got Abba logging into the room. Somebody came in?
Yes.
All right. All right, family. All right, Abba. Shabbat Shalom, Abba. We're going to put you up, add you to the stage. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Prince. Shabbat Shalom, Princess.
All
Shabbat
right.
Shalom.
Look at that. Look at that. We're going to get this thing going. Where the sisters at? Ain't no sisters in the house. Shabbat Shalom.
Maybe they just.
Sister Uzziah? Who that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Sister Uzziah, Shabbat Shalom. All right, let's get this thing going. Let's get this thing going. All right. Sister Saadia puts up her commandment.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do that? Let her start off the everything today?
That's fine.
All right. The other sisters, ain't nobody showed up yet. Where they at? Where they at? They supposed to be on the platform today. We supposed to be doing this thing. Where they at?
I don't know. Okay. Sister Saadia's law comes from the book of Exodus, Shemot, chapter 23, verse 2. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou bear witness in a cause to turn aside after a multitude to pervert justice. We should not follow after wickedness, but set ourselves apart and live and walk in righteousness.
I like that. I like that. I like what you say. We should set ourselves apart and live and walk in righteousness. You said something else. So hold on a second. In a multitude, go turn aside. We should not follow after wickedness, but set ourselves apart. Sister Saadia, that's a very good explanation, but I feel it was brief. It could have been a little bit more extensive because that follow a multitude to do evil goes a long way, man. We're not supposed to follow a multitude to do evil. That goes a long way, but you got it to its core root. You cut it down, you shut it up. You got us to its core root. That's good. But you sometimes we take favoritism in people because they're our friend. And maybe I should explain that what I mean by go a little bit further. You know, sometimes we get an association with people. Hey, Albert, you sitting in my living room, man. That used to be my living room. That used to be how I used to be my background when I first started. The same one.
Nice place you have here.
Oh, thank you. Use it anytime. Anytime you want it. Anytime you want it, you can use it. You're welcome to it.
Thought I about.
But follow a multitude to do evil also. I feel like I type too much. No, you don't type too much. No, you can never give too much when we doing what we doing. And if you do, we'll send you a text message say, "Hey, sis, calm down, slow down, stop that." Other than that, you all right. Do what you feel. But following a multitude to do evil go in many ways, you know. And it can hurt a lot of people and damage a lot of people. But most importantly, it can bring harm upon yourself. Because you can be taken on and grafting on to the ways of evil and wicked people, knowing that you're doing it, but not knowing that you're doing it, which means that you're following something that you think is right, but you haven't carefully investigated. You haven't asked any questions. But just because you favor a certain person who brought this thing or who started talking first, you favor their position, so you side up with them against the innocent people. You actually condemning your own soul, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. All right? May the Most High be praised. So never follow a multitude to do evil. Second, any other commandments? Anyone else?
I don't think, but I'm ready to do my commandment. My commandment can be found in Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 1. If there be a controversy, 1 through 3. If there be a controversy between men and they come unto judgment, and the judges judge them by justifying the righteous and condemning the wicked, then it shall be, if the wicked man deserve to be beaten, that the judge shall cause him to lie down and to be beaten before his face, according to the measure of his wickedness by number. 3, verse 3, 40 stripes he may give him, he shall not exceed, lest if he should exceed, and beat him above these with many stripes, then thy brother should be dishonored before thine eyes. So when I opened my book and I was looking, this is what it fell on. And for me, it just reminds you that once a judgment is judged and you come to a unified decision based on that person's wickedness, then you have to stick with that. I would say, unless another transgression has conspired, right? So it's like we have to think about. Sometimes we may think somebody deserves more than what they were punished. A judgment was given. It's not our job to go and exceed that punishment or to even try to bring the judges up on charges. One thing it says is if the punishment, the beating exceeds the 40 lashes, that brother should be dishonored before thine eyes. That means that person who exceeds the punishment, who gives more than what was warranted, will be dishonored before the Creator's eyes. So
that's what you think that means?
Yeah, before he becomes a less honorable person, a less honorable man.
Who becomes a less honorable man?
The one who beat more than the one who exceeded the punishment.
Okay, I guess that's a good way to look at it. Can you read that commandment again?
Yes. It says, if there be a controversy between men, and they come unto judgment, and the judges judge them by justifying the righteous and condemning the wicked, then it shall be, if the wicked man deserve to be beaten, that the judge shall cause him to lie down and to be beaten before his face, according to the measure of his wickedness by number. 40 stripes he may give him, he shall not exceed, lest if he should exceed and beat him above these with many stripes, then thy brother should be dishonored before thine eyes.
Okay. When I heard that, this is what I took into account. And may the Most High be praised. And who's that shining light TV that we ain't seen in so long? Would that be my sister? Shining light TV that we haven't seen in so long, shining the light in the television. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Yasmin. All right. When I hear that 40 lashes, that's a lot of beating for a person. Depending on what he's done, determine the amount of lashes that he gets. But have you ever seen a man get beat before? Even beat with fists. Really get beat, even with fists. He can't take but so much and keep his composure. After a while, he started losing his composure and he began to be less of a man. And that's what I've always taken it to mean, that if you go above that, you'll bring out the effeminate side of that individual, and he will no longer hold that composure of manhood. See, a man can stand in and take so much, but then after a while, you hit him enough, and all of a sudden he start getting, and then it's hard for people to respect you after that. But I understand your point of view too. I do. But I've always taken it a different way, that he might start screaming. He might start crying. He might start hollering. And then how would a person respect a man after they've seen that type of behavior in him? It's very difficult. See, once respect is lost, it's almost impossible to get respect returned again. Almost impossible. So that's how I understood it to be, that the Most High don't want you to overdo it, because he don't want you to over abuse the person that's being punished. But I understand your position as well. The person who overdid it went beyond what was reasonable and necessary. It could have been out of jealousy. It could have been out of anger or mischief or just hatred. But he overdid the punishment. He wasn't supposed to do that. So yes, I see that as well. Anything you want to say about that?
Well, I did. It brought to mind. I think I mentioned this before, but my parents used to host their anniversary every year growing up at our house. We had a really big house in the west end of Atlanta, and every 31st of December they would host this huge party with like hundreds. I mean, like 300 to 400 people every year. And one year, this brother came that's been coming for years. We've known him in the community. But anyway, he did some obscene things in the house, and my younger sister saw him or caught him and a woman or whatever. And she, went and told my parents. And the punishment that was deemed for him was 40 lashes. And we all watched him get 40 lashes. And to this day, he remembers that. And so when he sees us, I know when he sees me and my siblings, he's kind of like hesitant, not sure what to do. But like I don't hug him. I might say peace to him, but I kind of keep my distance from him because of what he did. Plus, other things that's known about him. But I just know, like, I know my father could have exceeded that punishment if he did it if he didn't do it to show, just not teaching him discipline and obedience, but if he did it to be like a showboat, if my father did it to kind of like show people what he do to people, then I think he could have done it in a very harmful manner where it would have exceeded. And I think the point wouldn't have gotten, would have been different, because it would have been more like an abuse of power than, hey, I'm going to son you in a way that you learn from this so that you don't do it again.
I think 40 lashes is a strong punishment. 40 lashes is a lot of hits.
Well, he got 40 lashes.
Especially when you're hitting from a man that's strong, You get 40 lashes on your back. Woohoo! The first lash gonna hurt. So, you over exceed 40 and you done really did something. But may the Most High be praised. And happy birthday to Abba Bilal. Bilal is his 76th birthday. Yeah, young man, young man. So, Iman, you want to read some of the ones from the side, or you want to go on with the people?
I can read, I believe it's Ornit's. So Ornit, Shalom.
I don't think she was first, though. Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me be quiet.
Ornit's law is found in the book of Exodus, Shemot, chapter 22, verse 28.
You going to read it?
Let me read it. Let me go to it. I thought she had posted it. All right. Chapter 22, verse 28 reads, Thou shalt not delay to offer of the fullness of thy harvest and of the outflow of thy presses. The firstborn of thy son shalt thou give unto me. And so she said that means once the Creator chooses a leader of the people, it's blasphemy to talk against him or turn the people's heart away from him. When you curse your leader, it's like cursing the Creator.
Absolutely.
Because the person is anointed. If you feel like the leader is doing something out of order, there are proper channels for that.
She's absolutely correct. She's absolutely correct. You should never speak ill about your leader. But you know what I noticed that happens in today's time? It don't be the people that walk with the leadership. It be the people who are friends of those people who speak ill about what they going on. And really a lot of that is because people are jealous of you being a part of something that they're not a part of. And they want to tear you down, bring you apart, break you apart, rip it up, whatever they can do. But what they don't understand is a lot of times their vices for the adversary to be victorious in this relationship. A lot of people don't understand how the adversary works. I had my uncle told me a story a long time ago. Well, actually, this one wasn't too long ago about how the adversary worked. And I'm trying to remember the story. The adversary, I can't remember the story, but I'm going to sum it up. The adversary had gave somebody a gift, and the person was so pleased with the gift, they thought the gift was a blessing. But he took that gift and he ran with it. Somebody else was affected by that gift. Somebody else was affected by that gift. Somebody else was affected by that gift. And they ended up killing the original man. Oh, yeah, it was a gold necklace or something. The adversary, Satan, had given the man a gold necklace because he was going to kill it. He wanted the boy to die, but he can't do it himself. So he gave the boy a gold necklace. And the guy put the gold necklace on, and he was so happy because he got a gold necklace. So he was wearing a gold necklace and started going around in all these places where he would go with the gold necklace. So people began to plot against him. People who used to be his friends began to side up against him. Everybody started growing jealous because he had something that they didn't have. And then they plotted how to kill him, and they destroyed him. So when he died, he went to Satan and in hell, and he was like, why you give me that gold necklace? He said, so I can get you down here with me. People will send you to an early grave because of their emotions that they have towards you, being envious, being jealous, because you got something that they don't have, or you somewhere in life that they're not. They will utilize that energy and be willing to put you to death because you have achieved something that they didn't achieve, because you possess something that they don't have. It could be a wife. Some guys don't have a wife. And then you got 2 and 3 wives, and they're envious of you because of that. You divorce that one, you get 2 or 3 more. You divorce those, you get 2 or 3 more. And all along that you had all them wives in 10 years, 15 years, they ain't got one in 15, 20 years. And they don't like that. So they become envious of you, jealous of you. It could be your success, like learning Hebrew. Learning Hebrew might come easy to you, but they can't learn it no matter what. They spend a lot of money trying to learn it, and you're learning it simply, and you ain't got to spend no money. They will spread bad reports about you. They will talk about you. They will set traps for you. They will set snares for you to try to bring you down. So you got to be careful about people. All right, let's move on.
And want to do it? You have a law. You have a law. Just gotta speak. Brother Yahu's going to give his law
Okay. Total Rabah.
in the Yah.
And Emma, if you can, reach out to that sister and see what she at. Sister Sharon's supposed to be coming on today. Sister Chasey's supposed to be coming on today. And I think Sister Aisha's supposed to come on today.
I never talked to her, but I reached out to all of them, so I'll do it again.
Shabbat Shalom. My law would be from Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 21. If the place where the Most High Father chooses to put his name is too far from you, then you may slaughter from your herd or from your flock. The Creator has given you, just as I have commanded you, and in your own cities, you may eat as much of them as you want. And the explanation was to be fit for consumption, clean animals must be slaughtered. Do not eat what dies of itself or is killed by a wild beast.
Please do that again. Come closer to the mic, please. Because if I heard you correctly, your explanation of what you stated, I don't see where they tie into the law. So please, maybe I'm off. Just could you read that again and then give your explanation? Shabbat Shalom, Sister Zakaria. Atalia, Shabbat Shalom.
It was from Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 21. If the place where the Most High your Father chooses to put his name is too far from you, then you may slaughter from your herd or from your flock, Creator has given you, just as I have commanded you. And in your own cities, you may eat as much of them as you want.
And your explanation was?
To be fit for consumption, as far as clean animals, you must be slaughtered. And I was just going a little bit more in depth and saying, do not eat what dies of itself or is killed by wild beasts.
All right, you got me looking it up now. I'm still. What law did you read? Deuteronomy.
Chapter 12, verse 21.
That's what I thought. Okay. And 21. The place which the Most High, thy Elohim, have chosen to put his name there be too far from thee, then thou shalt kill of thy herd and of thy flock, which the Most High has given thee, and I have commanded thee, and thou shalt eat in the gates wherein my soul lusteth after. That's all you read, right?
Can. Well, it was worded differently, but can.
Oh, mine is worded different from yours?
Yeah.
All right, then I'm gonna leave that alone because I'm trying to figure out how you got that you shouldn't eat anything that dieth of itself. I don't see how that came out of there. All right, we'll move on. Maybe it's the version. Maybe it's the language that is written in. All right, Toda Rabbah, may the Most High be praised.
That's it. That's it here.
I'm sorry, can't hear you.
That's all the laws. That's everyone who's presenting a law here.
You got somebody sitting next to you.
She doesn't.
Oh, she ain't saying nothing.
She doesn't have a law.
Not this week. She ain't saying nothing this week.
No.
Okay. All right. All right. Abba, you have a law for us? Zante? Ishi? Okay.
Ken, I have one, friends. Leviticus 20, starting at verse 6. And the being who turns to mediums and to spiritists to go whoring after them, I shall set my face against that being and cut him off from the midst of his people. And you shall set yourselves apart and shall be set apart, for I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, and you shall guard my laws and do them.
Did we have a conversation about that? We didn't have no conversation about that, did we?
No.
Wow. Go ahead. You want to give us the understanding?
Well, don't follow after mediums and spiritists. I know Just recalling back when you did the teaching about, about what is a witch. And but like say going after these that are especially now you find a lot of the Europeans, mother, whoever, or sister, so and so on every other corner that want to come read the tarot, or that want to come give some type of mystical reading that they're getting from the universe or getting from some especially necromancers that want to try to reconnect you with your family members that have passed on, and tell them what this is. They want you to be happy. They want this for your life. They want all of this, because they're in contact with the spirit realm. Like say, stay away from those people. Like say, be set apart, keep his laws, because his ruach is the only ruach that we're supposed to be listening to, not this other stuff.
Absolutely. May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah. Toda Rabbah. Ima?
Sister Laura, Zaquina Laurel, that put her law.
Yes.
You want me to read it? Okay.
Yes.
2, she wants her scripture to come from Leviticus, Vayikra, chapter 18 and 3, and chapter 20 and 23. So I'm going to read both laws before I give an explanation. Leviticus 18 and 3 reads, after the doings of the land of Mitzrayim, wherein ye dwelt, shall you not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall you not do, neither shall you walk in their statutes. Now, chapter 20, verse 23 reads, and ye shall not walk in the customs of the nation, which I am casting out before you, for they did all these things, and therefore I abhorred them. Her explanation reads, we are not to adopt the institutions of idolaters, nor their customs. This is forbidden by the Creator to keep us set apart unto him, free from contamination, confusion, and destruction. Hear, O Yisrael.
Very good. May the Most High be praised. So what I'm hearing over and over and over in the flow of today is that we're supposed to be set apart. That's a good understanding explanation. Read on. Anyone else? Ishi, you got a commandment for us? Ishi, you got a commandment for us?
Cain, mine is coming from Vayikra or Leviticus chapter 14. And it's going to start.
Ishi, you got a commandment for us?
My apologies. I just turned the TV down. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Vayikra chapter 14, and it starts at verse 34. Oh, sorry, 33. And the Creator spoke unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, When ye come into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession, and he that owneth the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, It seemeth to me that there is as it were a plague in the house. Then the priest shall command that they empty the house before the priest go into it to see the plague, that all that is in the house be not made unclean. And afterward the priest shall go in to see the house, and he shall look on the plague, and behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house, with hollow strakes, greenish or reddish, which in sight are lower than the wall, then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house, and shut up the house 7 days. And the priest shall come again the 7th day, and he shall look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the walls of the house, then the priest shall then the priest shall command that they take away the stones in which the plague is, and they shall cast them into an unclean place without the city. And he shall cause the house to be scraped within round about, and they shall pour out the dust that they scrape off without the city into an unclean place. And they shall take other stones and put them in the place of those stones. And he shall take other mortar and shall plaster the house. And if the plague come again and break out in the house, after he have taken away the stones, and after he has scraped the house, and after it has been plastered, then the priest shall come and look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the house, it is a fretting leprosy in the house, it is unclean. I'll read the rest. And he shall break down, verse 45, and he shall break down the house, the stones of it, and the timber thereof, and all the mortar of the house, and he shall carry them forth out of the city into an unclean place. Actually, I'll stop right there. So basically, when I'm getting, this is the law of leprosy, but for buildings or for houses in particular. And I think it's important to keep in mind that it seems like the houses they're saying brick and like being made with natural things. So just like how our bodies are a temple, the house, especially being made with nature and bricks and plaster, is also of nature. So if those two, if your body can get unclean, then your house can get unclean. And the Most High does not want to have us dwell in an unclean space, just like he doesn't want our bodies to have unclean things, unclean animals, unclean things within it or around it. So there is a process for cleaning leprosy from your body, just like there's a process for cleaning leprosy from a house. And it's important to note that if the leprosy, after the priest comes 7 days, he orders people to clean the house out. You replace the parts of the house that have leprosy in it. If that leprosy comes back, if I'm reading this right, verse 45, it looks like that house just has to get destroyed, basically. And it does continue, at least in my book, up until verse 47 to the sacrifice and things like that. And I think there are a few verses there are a few more verses that go into it, but I just decided to stop there. So that's what I have. And I think it's just important to note how to be clean. Shalom.
Very good. May the Most High be praised. Now, that's a commandment that you don't hear often. There's not a lot of people that read the commandment and talk about leprosy. I believe it's a cut, something like that. It's a cut, leprosy. A lot of people don't talk about that, but that's a fact. And a building, a structure can get leprosy, a form of leprosy within itself. Sometimes it comes from mold setting in a building and its foundation, and it travels up the wall and it grows. And that mold releases funguses in the air that can make the human body sick. So also the Creator gave us that commandment a long, long, long time ago. It still holds true even till today. Mold, spores of mold get into your system and it can affect you and kill you. Mess up your bronchial tubes, mess up your ventilation so that you can't breathe. Well, that's how a lot of those things start. So when you come across a building like that, you should tackle that problem right away and don't let it spread. And we're talking about not black mold that gets up in the sheetrock and all that stuff. We're talking about a white mold that comes up the crevice of cinder blocks and cement stone. We're talking about a different mold.
In my book, it also says a greenish or reddish color too.
Yes.
Is that also leprosy?
The one, if the Creator says leprosy, that's what it is. I'm not one to argue with him. But what I've seen was a white hue, a white glaze coming up the crevices of the walls, and it's red and orange deep into the crevice, the white hue. It's like almost like a rainbow looking color, but it's not good. And you know something is bad. Actually, my daughter's house had it, and we had to take the steps out in the front because she was getting water coming in the house, and we had to deal with it. So now it's done. May the Most High be praised. But that's a fact, even to the day. It can affect your home. Usually it's water penetration down in the foundation that works its way up. All right. Emma, you want to read the few that we have on the site?
Ari's law is in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 3. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be by the field. Her explanation was it was okay in the city, is greater still in the field today, each which I consider a blessing for the balance.
Absolutely. May the Most High be praised. Now that's opportunity. Now what she just read was based on us falling in proper alignment with the Creator's will. As long as we're blessed in the Most High and doing what He said for us to do, then those blessings He shall place upon us. But we know we didn't do what the Most High said for us to do, so we got the opposite spectrum of those blessings. Curse shall you be in the city, and curse shall you be in the fields. And it's hard for us out here right now because we're under that punishment. Although the punishment is being lifted, it's very difficult for us right now in this day and time in which we find ourselves. Anyone else?
No, I don't see any more.
All right. Anybody else want to give us a commandment? Okay. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. If a man stealeth another man, and that man is found within his hands, he get caught with that man in his possession, then that man should be put to death for stealing another man. Did y'all know that was a commandment? Did y'all know that there was a commandment that you cannot kidnap another man? And if that man that you kidnap get caught in your hands, you're supposed to get put to death? So did they kidnap us from Africa? Did they kidnap a lot of our people from Africa? And then we wake up and get caught in their hands? So then what we supposed to do? What's supposed to be their punishment then if that's the case? All right. I'm going to leave that alone. For y'all who's stronger than me, y'all go do it. I ain't doing nothing. Can't get me involved in that mess. I like to try, but, I got to do what I got to do. You want to get Ames commandment, please? Emma?
So I thought I came off mute. And Keturah's law can be found in Deuteronomy, 24, verse 6. And it says, no man shall take the mill or the upper millstone to a pledge, for he taketh a man's life to pledge. Nation is one should not take as collateral anything that is used to for another's livelihood.
Absolutely. So that means that this man is a bricklayer and he runs short on funds and he try to pawn his tools to you so that he can get some money just to eat today. He won't be able to eat tomorrow if he gave you his tools. Therefore, the father say you cannot take his tools as collateral to give him money. You can't take that which a man uses for his bread and butter as a way of holding a collateral until somebody pays you what they owe you. Just like you can't take his coat off his back, or you can't take his clothes because it might be the last set of clothes that he has. All that's in the law. There's another law. There shall not be found among you anyone who maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of time, or an enchanter, or a witch. There shall not be any of these things in the midst of us. And what I've learned today is that a lot of our people are turning more and more toward witchcraft, especially our sisters. There are so many There are so many of our sisters that's turning to witchcraft, especially the young ones. So many of our young sisters are turning more and more and more to witchcraft. So many of them, and it's sad because it ain't supposed to be that way. That's not the way the Most High designed it to be. And it doesn't have to be that way. But there are so many people that's looking for the quick fix or something that they have deemed is going to work quicker and more powerful, and they can see what it is that they're involving themselves in. They gravitate toward it. And that's not good. That's not good at all. You know, and then a lot of people's spirit are just aching to be a hold of something. And it appears as if the witches and the warlocks and the soothsayers and necromancers and all those people in their world, because this is their world, the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. In their world, life is more attractive than in our world. Living in their world, we have so many restrictions on life that we can almost do nothing. What I've learned over the years that when you relax your mind, you can enjoy your life in this law. But you just can't be penny pinching and aching and trying to have your way as opposed to doing what the Most High's way is. You have to always desire to do what the Most High's way, and you will enjoy life. Long as you do it with those restrictions, it will preserve your life. It will keep you out of hurt, harm, and danger, and Creator will be your protector. But when you do things their way, so many opportunities come to you that brings you destruction, chaos, turmoil, and pain. Especially when you walk this way first and you left it to choose that way, the negative way. So may the Most High be praised for all those who remain faithful to the everlasting covenant that He's blessed us with. May the Most High be praised. I don't understand that question. Are they breaking Torah? The Bells bondsmen don't keep Torah. Most Bells bondsmen don't even care about Torah, but the answer would be yes, they would be. They would be. But most Bells bondsmen don't care nothing about Torah.
I think she was morely just expounding on the law that was brought out. Just basically, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't literally asking the question, though.
No, literally asking the question. She's correct. Literally. They're breaking Torah by being Bells minds and accepting these things as a pledge, people's homes as a pledge, because a lot of people can't do that. But they can sell their home, but to put it up as a pledge is a different story. We have another one on the floor. TT.
Coach TT says, Cain, a person I thought did law, told me and my daughter that. I wondered to myself, how did he know that? Soon after it was revealed that he was involved with it himself.
Now I'm trying to understand it. Put that up again, please. I'm confused with that. A person I thought did law told me and my daughter that, oh, okay, all right, I understand. So she thought somebody that was doing law was living his life, but they wasn't. They was doing that other stuff, that dark magic stuff. You see, witches and warlocks, those people who practice black magic, Satan worshipers, they go through the back door. And you don't have to go through the back door. You can come through the front door because the Most High opened the door to you. He gave you the combination, but they don't want to earn that. They go through the back door and try to gain entry, but they don't realize that when you do things like that, there's a heavier price that you have to pay. So you might as well just stay away from that and keep it moving. All right. Do we have anybody else with a commandment?
Kane, I have one. Can you hear me?
Okay. Well, absolutely. We hear you strong today.
Okay. Yeah. Lucky. My phone overheated, so it kicked me off, and now I'm on my computer. But I plugged in my mic because my computer, for some reason, keeps me low. So I'll try to adjust it so where it's not as loud.
Oh, you cool. We can hear you though. Do your
Okay.
thing.
All right, hold on. My scripture is going to be Leviticus chapter 18, starting with verse 6. It says, "No one is to approach anyone of his own flesh to uncover his nakedness, for I am Yahweh. The nakedness of your father or the nakedness of your mother you do not uncover. She is your mother. You do not uncover her nakedness, and the nakedness of your father's wife you do not uncover. It is your father's nakedness." And there's a few more verses that go into the same thing, but pretty much, my explanation of this scripture is pretty much, the same thing. It's self-explanatory, but yeah, you are not to uncover the nakedness or lay with anyone that is of your direct lineage, your mom, your father, your father's wife, your mother's sister, your father's sister, anybody that is directly of your bloodline, of your immediate household and that family. You are not to uncover their nakedness, or in other words, to lay with them. Because there's also other scriptures that go into, if you lay down with your brother's wife or your father's wife, or your father's your uncle's wife, that you have also uncovered their nakedness, right? So yeah, we are not to lay down, to have any type of intercourse or any type of sexual anything with anybody that is directly of our bloodline, lineage, close to family, close to home, any of that. Zehu.
May the Most High be praised. Absolutely correct. Now, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Well, I guess I want to make a statement. I guess I want to make a statement. I don't think it's a question. I think it's a statement. In this particular scripture that he brought forward, he says that you should not lay down with your father's wife. But he also made the statement that it was showing that your blood relatives, you shouldn't lay down with blood relatives. But your father's wife doesn't necessarily have to be your blood relative. It doesn't have to be your mother. Your father could have Nashim, your mother and another woman. Or your mother may have passed or is divorced, and your father could have married another woman. Even if it's not your direct blood lineage, you shouldn't take her and have intercourse with her, nor desire her. But another thing is about that is that it says the uniqueness of that scripture says that if you do, you uncover the nakedness of whatever man that was, be it your uncle, your brother, or your wife. You uncover that man's nakedness. But women today would tell you that they don't belong to no man. If you lay down with that woman, you uncover that man's nakedness. But a woman today will say they don't belong to no man, even though they're married. This verifies and proves the consistency of the teachings here at Temple Kifarim, that when you marry a woman, you overshadow her. If she comes under your covering, she belongs to you. The only way that you can defile that man's nakedness by laying with his wife is if that wife belongs to that man. And that's extremely important that we look at it this way and understand that. May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah. Sister Chasey, did you have a commandment for the day? And Shabbat Shalom to you. Welcome.
Shabbat Shalom. No, I don't.
All right. Very well. All right. Ima, is there anyone else we need to read? All right. Let's get started. Y'all ready? Now, the topic of today's lesson is, are you being abused by him? Y'all see the picture on the front page with the girl sitting there crying with her face and her hair looking all wild, and she in tears? A lot of times we pick the wrong man. Usually we pick the wrong man because we picked him with the wrong mind. The mind that we had at that time to accept this individual into our lives was a corrupt mind. It was a lustful mind. It's usually a mind that works on the lower half of our intricate parts. We desire that which looks good over that which is good. We desire that which tastes good over that which is better for us or good for us. Think about most of the food you eat today. If it's sweet, it's good. If it's bitter, it's nasty. But we don't realize that the bitter food is better for us than most of the sweet food. We don't understand that, but it is. Usually sweet food that you put into your body, it breeds worms and other pests and insects and different type of terminal things inside your body, cancers and all types of things formulate from the sugar content. Your arteries start to harden, all types of things when you eat what's sweet and tastes good. And it usually takes that bitter stuff that you rejected to reverse your health back to normalcy and back to health. The things you rejected at first, the foods that you rejected because they was bitter, they was a little hard, they was crude, it didn't taste as sweet, didn't taste as good, you didn't find as much excitement as enjoyment in it. You rejected that only to eat the sweet stuff and then turn around and have to take back what you didn't want to eat to get rid of the sickness and the disease and all the things that those sweet things caused upon you. Same thing with relationships. We see with our eyes and with our minds, we desire that with the appearance of it looking good, thinking that this is going to be fun. This is going to be good. This is going to be nice. When I walk the streets, people are going to see me walking next to her. People are going to see me walking next to him. They're going to feel good about this. Oh, I can easily get aroused and attracted by them because they look so good. And we're using the wrong mindset to choose our mates. And then what usually happens is when things don't go the way you wanted things to go, you're trapped into a marriage. Sometimes with 2 or 3 children. Sometimes there's no way out. You don't know how to get out, or you can't see the way out, so you don't know what to do. There's a lot of people that's been trapped in these same situations. They ended up getting divorces. They ended up, some of them got killed. The man would kill them and put them to death because she didn't know how to conduct herself in that relationship. So she just don't talk to me that kind of way. I've seen one. He waited outside. She got out. What happened was they broke up. They separated. She go get in her car early in the morning to go to work. He go and shoot her in the head through the window. There's a lot of people in our community that's in these abusive relationships because they use the wrong mindset to gravitate toward the one that they fell in love with, fell into these relationships, fell and had children with. They used the wrong mindset. A man just don't go from loving you one day to blowing your brains out the next day. There's something wrong with that individual that you should be able to see along the way. There's little signs and little glimpses usually that lets you know that something ain't right in this person. But what happens is because we horny, did I say something wrong? Because we horny, we overlook these signs. We overlook these indicators and oh man, she looked good, man. I know a woman. I know a guy I grew up with, young guy. Look, he was a little younger than me. I'm like 39 3/4, so he's about 35, 36. So in there, right? And I got a bridge for sale too. I got a bridge I want to sell you too. So we're gonna hold on to that bridge for you. So he was dating a girl, a female. She was a cop. Something broke out between the two of them. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, and I didn't get the story because he dead. She killed him. She blew his head off. This don't happen overnight. People don't just become abusive overnight. It don't happen like that. Usually there's a track record of arguments, of disagreements, of frustration, of people demanding that you treat them or do them a certain type of way before somebody just pop the handle and take your life. And a lot of times these people that take people's lives are so bad and so sick in the head, they turn around and take their own life. After they done took that person's life and all the kids and everybody else in the house, then they'll turn around and take their own life. There was indicators along the way, usually, to let us know. But so many of our people are in these abusive situations where people, and a lot of males do this. A male will put his hands on a woman quick, not even considering the strength, the real strength of a man's hand. Not even considering how delicate a woman is, a female. And I mean delicate and fragile. Half of your might could break her jaw. Just half of your might with a stroke of your hand could break her jaw, let alone full force in a fit of anger. Full force in a fit of anger could take her lights and take them completely out because she's fragile. She's a female. And you have no idea how strong you are in a fit of rage when you become angry and upset. How many of us have experienced an abusive relationship? How do we get out of an abusive relationship? How do we handle an abusive? What are the signs of an abuser in an abusive relationship? And it ain't just the men that are abusive, because a lot of women are abusive too. I shown that example earlier when I spoke about the brother who was married to the woman. She was a cop, and she came into his house and blew his head off in his house, and he dead. And he was a young man at the time. He had to be at least 35, 36 years old, and he's gone. Couture Young, Shabbat Shalom. Neon, Shabbat Shalom. So let's talk, family. Let's talk. Let's talk, family. What are some of the indicators? What are some of the signs? And what are some of the things that we can do to get out of these situations, to help somebody that's in these situations? And if anybody on the panel has experienced this type of thing, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Nobody talking. What y'all in the thinking stage right now? What y'all thinking about? Y'all, oh, I know. Y'all thinking about when you was in that situation or when you were the abuser. I know. Women don't never think they're the abuser. And sometimes they are. Women, one thing don't do is think they're the instigator. And sometimes they are. Sometimes they are. Accountability is very important if healing is going to take place. Accountability. And we have to be accountable for the part we played. Sisters, I want to let you know this. No matter what you said to him, it was no reason for him to pick up his hand and strike you. No reason for that to happen. And if he ever did that, and if he ever does that, then it's a reason for you to get a divorce and flee. So all that stuff I asked you, all those questions, what's some of the indicators, some of the signs of an abuser? That's one of the major signs. If he raises his hands and strike you once, he'll do it twice, he'll do it 3 times, he'll do it 4 times, he'll do it 5 times, and sometimes he loses control and he'll take your life. So if you've ever experienced a situation like that, let's talk. If you escape with your life, let's talk. Are you being abused by him? Have you been abused by him? Are you being abused by her? Have you been abused by her? Let's talk, family. Prince ain't the only one. I got all these people on the platform. Let's bust it up. And any of you in the audience that wants to come and be a part of this, send us a link. We'll set you up so you can come in and talk. May the Most High be praised. Let's go. Any of the audience that wants to come and be a part of this, send us a link. We'll set you up so you can come in and talk. May the Most High be praised.
This is Shay C speaking.
Shalom.
All right. So I believe that abuse starts at manipulation.
Explain that.
It usually starts with,
May I say something?
No, right now someone else is speaking. Can you hear her? You probably can't hear her.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had my computer on mute. Salakli, go ahead.
uh, it kind of starts with like, starting to make you feel worthless. Also starting with that person not taking accountability for, for anything that happens in the relationship. It's mostly like for instance, uh degrading you, because abuse can start a lot of times. It starts off verbally, and then the next step is physical for the most part.
Mm.
So I believe like from the first start of abuse is, most of the time if that person's going to be verbally disrespectful, verbally, just manipulative, making it feel like everything is your fault. Everything is just, no accountability for anything. Um, Kind of making you feel, less than human, or that you're not worthy. It starts there. And then it starts with the physical abuse because that woman no longer feels worthy.
You know what I want to hear? Because a lot of people may be experiencing that type of abuse right here on this call right now. What I want to hear from the family, anyone who knows, who have experienced this type of thing, what makes you stay? What keeps you in that type of relationship where you just don't leave and flee and run? What makes you stay? Like Sister Chasey, in your situation, what made you stay in that situation?
Children, loss of family, the fear of being alone, being a statistic of being a single mother. A lot of people expect, especially Black women, to be this single mother, not a wife. Every time we go to the grocery store, it's usually kids with their mother. Where's the father, for the most part, when it comes to when it comes to the Black community. Majority, yeah.
So you saying you're staying in that situation because you're afraid of being alone, afraid of being a single parent, sometimes resources, or you're embarrassed to tell somebody? So you stay in a situation based on those things?
Yeah, a lot of times it is, sometimes it's for, it starts off with, somewhat love, but I also knew at that time that love doesn't hurt. So, but most of the time I just stay in the situation because of the children. You don't want to do it by yourself.
Hmm. Anyone else?
I'll say I agree with what Sister Shay is saying. I know in my past that's what it was, more of not wanting to have another fair relationship, not wanting to have to raise the children, by yourself, be a single mother again. Like it's not something most women, let me just say, most women I know don't get into relationships and have children to become single mothers. But part of it also is not wanting to face the truth that you made a bad decision, that you didn't listen to those who told you not to go into that relationship, whether it be your family, his family, friends, whatever. And then just the low self-esteem that may have developed from being in that relationship. Because as she said, a lot of times abuse starts with manipulation. It'll start with a person making you feel like you're not wanted, unwanted, unloved, not cared for. Like, if you leave them, then nobody's going to be there for you. So because you've given them so much, and that's where you are, and you tend to believe some of those things. So I think that's a lot of times what happens with women, especially when you want to work it out because you don't want things to fail. But, at certain parts, you got to like let it be where it's going to be, because it's unhealthy to stay in that relationship. And it's unhealthier to stay in that than to leave.
Is unhealthier to stay in it than it would be to leave. So your suggestion would be that they leave?
Yeah, I mean, that's my
Yeah,
suggestion.
but see, that's the simple resolution to it.
No, it's not. You
Listen to me.
just-
That's the simple resolution that we can give, to just tell them to leave. But what I'm asking is, what makes them stay? It's like a magnet. It's like something, they know they gotta go. They know they need to leave, like you just suggested, Ima. They know they need to go, but they can't. Something holds them back from making the right decision to exit that relationship. I'm trying to understand why they do this. And if we can understand why they do it, we might be able to help some people get out of that situation.
Right,
They
but
might not even see that they're doing this.
I think maybe I don't know, because I think we both gave a bunch of reasons why women or men, I can't speak for men, but why women, we both even talked about our own personal choices, why have stayed in those relationships. And we gave like a list of those reasons. One was manipulation, lack of financial stability, not wanting to feel shame because you have another failed relationship or a failed relationship, not wanting to face the truth of that you made a wrong decision, or the I told you so's from your family and your friends. Like, all of those are reasons that people stay. I don't, for some, they stay for a long time. Some stay till they are, their demise is met by death. Some stay for years. Some stay till they're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So I think it just all depends on the level of the person, because some don't stay at all. Some stay for just a very short period of time. Once they see it, they out. But, I think it just depends on how, and I won't even say how strong or weak a person is, because you can be strong and be very weak in that moment. And then you could be weak and become very strong in that moment. I just think it's where your mental is at that time. And it's not an easy, I think, for some who may not have gone through it, or who see it from one side, may think it's just easy to just jump out and get away from it, or stay in and try to fix it. And a lot of times, neither one of those are the answers. So it depends, in my opinion, on situation. I see we have some comments, so I want to bring those out.
You're bringing on some very important parts too. I want you to know that you're bringing up some very good information, and this information needs to be brought out so people that are in these situations, and I'm going to tell you, we got all these people in the room for a reason. There's a lot of people that's experiencing that very same thing, but it says nothing to no one. There's a lot of people trapped in that same situation and can't confide in no one, because one reason, they're afraid that somebody's going to talk about them and make them look bad and feel bad and not want to help. Keep speaking, Ima. You want to read the list? Read the list, please.
And I just want to say, like, the sad part is, let me take this banner off. The sad part is, in Israel, a lot of the cases is you don't want to tell nobody, because in most cases that I've witnessed and been a part of, the leadership men will blame you and tell you to just stick it out or figure it out, or laugh at you or talk about you on the beamer. They'll have class in a week and talk about what a worthless woman you are. So it's so many damaging things that happen to women who are abused, because most men, as we know, aren't going to come out and say they're being abused. But the women who are abused, they're making a mockery of us. So it's like, why would I even want to tell anybody? And, because the people that you think you should be able to go to for help, they're laughing at you and making you an example of a shameless woman. So I'm going to read some of the comments, though.
Hey, before you read the comments, let me say something.
Mhm.
Family, we got a whole lot of people here in the room. Please like, share, ring the bell, subscribe. Please share it to your social media page. Share it to some of your friends you think need to hear this conversation. Like the page so we can get the like up so more people will hear of this. And subscribe so that our following, our membership will meet the higher level of standards. Go ahead, Emma.
Okay. So, first comment is Sister Aisha. She says, sometimes abuse starts with low self-esteem. Sister Katoria says, lack of resources. Sister Saadia says, embarrassment, not wanting to start over, isolation. Sister Saadia also says, financial stability or lack thereof. I did like what she said about isolation, because a lot of men who are abusive, and a lot of people, let me not just put this on men, women and men who are abusive, they isolate you so that you don't have anyone to go to, whether it be a friend, a person in your congregation, your family, or whatever. They isolate you so that they do have total control over you. So I like the fact that she brought that out. And Zaquena Sukari says, paying family support or lack of it. Sister Saadia says, some stay because they like to fight and have sex, which is so true. Some people are just toxic and they love that. Two toxic people together. Some people, Sister Aisha says, some people feel they are deserving of abuse, and that goes along with the low self-esteem, or sometimes even just seeing it so much growing up. It could be, I think somebody said trauma or traumatic response. Sister Zakaria says, I had to take accountability and realize that the reason I stayed so long was because of my own pride. Our family unit looked beautiful and put together from the outside.
I want you to stop there after her, please. It looked beautiful and put together from the outside.
Yeah, it's three. It's altogether three. Do you want me to read all of it?
Yeah, read it, please.
We were establishing great things, but the interior of the relationship was filth. I started seeking out the truth in scripture and got tired of living a lie. The search and desire for truth outweighed the pride in the end, and I am grateful.
There are a lot of people who are in relationships like that right there.
Mm-hmm.
He looks good, she looks good. So to the world, it looks like they're getting it. They got a nice house, got a nice car. It looks like they're getting it, got a few children, but they don't know what really goes on behind closed doors. And if you're one of those kind of people that live in a world that wants to impress the world, you'll stay in that relationship even though you know you're being abused. Even though you feel the pressure of the toxicity of that relationship in your life daily, every day, you refuse to let it go because you're worried about what people outside is going to say about you, how you're going to impress them, how you're going to look in their eyes. Have you ever stopped to wonder how you look in the eyes of your children? See, it's so much for us to gather from these types of conversations, because oftentimes we don't have anybody to talk to about these things. But we here. You can vent. You can let it out right now. It can expose what you need to expose and still maintain your dignity. We're not here to make fun of you. We're here to try to find a way so that you can properly serve the Creator by being free from oppression, from somebody who's supposed to be taking care of you and protecting you are actually abusing you and hurting you. That's the one you got to look out for, because they're the danger. They're the threat. And the people outside your doors is a salvation. But a lot of times you don't have the understanding. You can't see that. And then when you do come to see it, you're afraid to make that move because of all the things that's been placed in the room. Sometimes you're afraid to step outside of your stability, your comfort zone. Oh, he's a good provider. He provides a house and a car. Oh yeah, sometimes you're afraid that you're going to be alone because that sex is knocking. You like the way your head hit the bed, hit the headboard every night. You like that. And you don't want to be without getting your head knocked up against the headboard. So you don't want to let them go. You don't want to expose him because you don't want to mess up his reputation because he's a leader in Israel. But he's punching your eye sockets out. He's knocking your teeth out. He's punching you in the back of your head where it won't leave no mark, so nobody will know that he's abusive to you. Come on, family. We got to break this cycle. We got to get away from this. Because if we allow it to continue, it will eventually take your life. It will destroy your life. And you know what happens a lot of times when we go through these situations and you start making noise? His family side up with him, your family side up with you, and now y'all got a fiasco, a war going on. Oh, she's mistreating my husband. She's mistreating my nephew. Oh no, your nephew is mistreating my niece. And now they want to go to war. They want to fight, and everybody want to take the hands, fisticuff, and guns. So to try to avoid all that, you lay there and don't say anything. But you should. You have to speak out. You have to speak out in a manner that's respectful so that you can get the proper attention, the proper help that you need. See, I used to be one of those guys. I used to be one of those abusers. I ain't had no problem doing it. But you know where my issue came from? It came from the leadership, the elders in Israel, listening to all those men and how they dealt with their women made me think that that was the way to deal with women, and it ain't. It ain't. It took me years of isolation by myself to get that spirit up out of me. I lost family. Some of my children don't speak to me today because of that type of behavior. So when I speak to you, I'm speaking to you from firsthand knowledge because I've been there. On both sides of the spectrum, I'm speaking from experience. I know. And I know how sometimes it can be for a female to be under the rulership of an oppressor, especially when he ain't got no problem smacking her in the mouth because he feels like she's being disrespectful. Brothers, I say to you today, if she feels disrespectful to you, let her go. Let her go. If she's disrespectful to you, talk to her, reason with her, try to work with her. And if she doesn't fall in alignment, don't waste your time. Let her go. But to beat her, put your hands on her, and take the risk of going to jail for breaking her jaw, hurting her, taking her life, to take that chance, you don't know what's going to happen when you get upset and haul off and knock the poop out of her. You don't know what's going to happen. So it's best that you don't do it. But the thing about it is, if you get a woman that makes you feel like that, she's stronger than you. Because she made you lose control of who you were as a man. You done lost control. Now you hit her. You done lost control of your composure. You never need anything in your life that can control you better than you controlling you. You understand? Be it women, be it cars, be it wealth, be it whatever. Nothing is supposed to be superior in your controlling you than you yourself. And if you got a person that can force you and make you hit them, beat, and a beat is something totally different. A beat is a willing intent to destroy, hurt, harm, or maim. That's what a beat is. A beat is not a smack because you lost control. A beat is a what the fuck do think you do? And that's what you do to your woman. Somebody you're supposed to be protecting. You the one she need protection from. And so many of our people are living in these situations. And some of our men are living in these situations because the woman is the aggressor. And they don't know how to get from up underneath of her. Because they think, oh, I love her. Oh, I love him. So they take the abuse and eventually end up losing their lives. And people be wondering, well, what happened to her? She got a stroke. She had an aneurysm. She had a heart attack. And a lot of those things come from the abuse that she's been enduring for so long, silently, not saying anything. because of the reasons y'all put up there. Didn't want to say nothing, too embarrassed, scared of being alone, scared of not being able to find another husband, scared of being a single parent, scared of the embarrassment of what everybody else in the world is going to say, especially in this nation. Oh, he's a spiritual leader. He's a prince. He's a moray. Oh, I don't want to take away his position, his title. I don't want anybody to know that he does this, because you're giving more honor to him than you're giving to yourself. Let's get back to the columns. Let's see what the family had to say. Could you finish reading off where you left off, please? There's a lot to this, family. We got to do this together. We're one nation. We're supposed to be one nation. There has to be somebody you can talk to. Reach out to me. I'll help you. Reach out to anybody on this panel and see if you can get the help. We're going to have this conversation today. So hopefully by the end of this lesson, you'll get some information that's going to be useful in your life. Let's talk.
All right. Sister Hadassah says it's 3 points to it. For me, being young and naive, it was my empathy and compassion, knowing he was abused, and that's what caused him to be that way. With my ex-husband, I thought love and patience could bring him to change. However, as time went on, I saw him becoming worse despite my submission and love. And I admit, as I saw he wouldn't change at that point, it became about fear of divorce being a sin. I spent years seeking guidance through scripture and religious teachers, Hebrew, Jewish, and Christian, because at that point, I knew his abuse wouldn't change. I was being told divorce is a sin.
Well,
and she said, oh, that's, yeah.
Is it something else? I don't know who told you divorce is a sin. That must have been in Christianity. Christians teach you a whole lot of things are sins that ain't sins, but divorce ain't a sin. And if you have to get divorced to save your life, then that's what you do. Usually there's a way that you can work on these things, but usually the pride of the man at that level, he ain't trying to hear nothing from nobody else because he is in control. So he thinks. He's in control. He's going to manipulate this situation and things are going to go down the way that he says things should be going down. So it's very difficult for you to get help at that time if you're looking for him to be involved in the healing process. You can try it. I doubt if it'd be successful. A lot of times the male don't want to hear words or advice from another person at all because they're in control of that situation. But Sister touched on some important things. She talked about how she felt sorry for him and how he was abused in his youth when he was growing up. So she felt remorse for him. She felt sorry for him, but yet he knocking her upside her head. That shows you what kind of heart she had. She took the abuse from his hands of beating her and kicking her and stomping her, spitting on her, and all those negative things, and she chalked it up as an excuse because she felt sorry for him. She allowed that to ride because she felt sorry for him and she didn't have to. There's a lot of things for us to talk about. What do you think, Abba? You want to mention anything on that?
Absolutely. Shalom to everyone. One of the things that is key is something that you've already touched on is having community. Because looking at all the reasons, and there are myriad reasons why people stay in abusive relationships, and it's easy to be on the outside looking in. I'm not saying you, Prince, but I mean that's to anyone, because like one of the Akota had touched on, like say when things look prosperous on the outside, you look like a good fit, and you don't want to besmirch your husband's name, and you want to make the family name look well, and you want to be presentable to the rest of the family and to the community. Again, you shouldn't, on one hand, care what people think, but I mean, you could just kind of understand how things look. and one of the key things to get back to something that you had touched on is community, because of all the reasons that were listed, not having anyone to talk to, not having anyone to turn to, not having a place of escape. One of the things that was instituted among our people back in the ancient days was having cities of refuge, and that's where community is key. Having someone, because everyone's situation is not where they have a father and a group of brothers and cousins and uncles that will go and beat the brakes off of somebody if they put their hands on their daughter, their niece, their nephew. Because if you touch mine, night night. So, but everyone doesn't have that. But that's where a community, I do believe, is an answer for that. But just looking at, like, say, the abuse from both sides. I mean, as you all well know, I have 9 children, but I have 8 surviving. Lost my second oldest to a relationship that was very much like that. So this definitely hits home. And looking at over the years, the things that they both went through, and not to demonize her or to make him out to be the angel, because he had his issues as well. But one of the things, knowing that he grew up in a household where he never saw me ever. My issue and I already had the understanding that, and I told her from Jump Street, if it ever gets to the point to where we're in an argument or, as they say, heated fellowship, and things start getting to the point to where we're yelling, screaming, all this other stuff, and it's like hands got to be thrown, I will walk away before I put my hands on you. I would never, and never have. After nearly 38 years, I never have. And never would, because any man that puts his hand on another woman needs to have his hand put on by that woman's father or brothers, cousins, the community. And so, and that's one of the nuances of living in the society that we live in now. We know we're not home in the land. So a lot of the things that we want to enact, and I do believe are right to do, you always have to worry about. And that's why I think too, a lot of the abusers think that they have the law on their side, and one of the things too, because like something again that you touched on, men that want to abuse a woman, they're weak. They are weak because somehow they think that they're above the law, that they could like say do it in such a way where there's no public or there's no outward bruise or different things like that. So their secret is safe. And one thing about a predator, predators always prey on the weak. I don't care how big and how bad. When you look at the animal kingdom, because these things, that's animalistic, that when you look in the animal kingdom, who do they go after? They go after the weak, they go after the sick, and they go after the young. They go after the naive and the unsuspecting. And the predator knows the characteristics of his prey. That's one thing about predators. And sadly, it works out great in the animal kingdom as far as getting their bellies full, but it also works sadly to the advantage of those that are abusers, because you have many abusers that are very patient. And one of the keys is that, and again, hindsight being 2020, you're like, if I'd have known this, if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't be in this. But that's where courtship is key, because, and just being frank and not being, again, touching on what you said earlier, not just being dazzled by lips, hips, and fingertips, and how broad his shoulders are and how beautiful his smile is, and he has it going on, and just going after eye candy. But what if that, making sure that person has substance, and make sure that there's some substance to them, and even if it takes some time to, and again, relationships take time to build. And I know there are some I guess organized relationships, or where certain ones are betrothed to some from childhood or whatever, arranged marriages and things like that. And I've heard great things about those, to where the people, even though they were paired, from childhood or whatever point, as they came up, they grew to love one another and things turned out great. So a key is having a community and a place to go to. But again, sadly, there are so many in our community that don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anyone to turn to. And that's where community again comes in, because when you have community, you have people that have a common unity. And so, and when the community is the security of those members that are there, then those women know that they also have a voice, and that they can speak safely, speak securely, not speaking down upon their man, but bringing to light the things and the abuse that they're going through, because abuse is not okay. You're not tattling. You're not, well, I want to keep a reputation. If your life is being threatened, or your physical being is being threatened, your emotional being is being threatened, that is not okay. And that's a thing that our people need to know and understand. That is not okay. And even though a lot of our people already do, but again, when there's no place to turn, and like you said, there are those of us here that that definitely know that is not okay, and trust and believe we will handle that as best as we can. So that's another kind of brings up some things that we'll be definitely talking about in the future. But again, like I say, that's one of the things that when I look back on the relationship that my son was in, and even with talking with him, because of his shortcomings and because of the things he saw that he did wrong, he came to a place to where he realized, okay, I've been out and I wasn't a great husband. I wasn't a great father, but I want to make this work. I want to make the best of this, even though he even said, well, I know she may not be mentally in the place, but I believe I can fix this. And a lot of times when you think that you can fix a person, that person has to want to be fixed. That person has to want to be healed. That's why you have so many people that check out of hospitals. I'm all right. You just let me go. I'll be okay. And then they barely can get out of the door and they pass out because they defer the treatment. They don't want, I'm okay. They think they're okay. And it kind of goes to one of those books, because you got a lot of people turn to these crazy psychology books, like that one that was written by Dr. Spock so many years ago. I'm okay. You're okay. No, we're not. And so if we don't have Torah, the instructions of the Most High to lead us and to guide us, and have right ruling leadership in place to help guide us in these things, and then again to let the people know that you have a place where you can come, you can confide in us, you can let us know, and we're going to deal with these things, and then being able to have a council to where we can come together and discuss and look at the best exit strategy for this type of situation. Because if remediation can't be made, if healing can't be brought to this situation, then we need to find the best exit strategy that's going to be mutually beneficial for both parties, or for all parties involved, especially when there's children, because we don't want too many of our children, and too many of us have been bruised and damaged by the things that many of us have seen in our upbringing, whether we experience it personally or through people, friends, family, whatever that we've seen that have gone through these things. So like I say, it's important to have community, to be able to have a place to go, because that's why so many people feel stuck. And again, like I say, it's not okay to be that way. But when you feel that you have nowhere to go, that's just literally the situation that you're in. You're like, what can I do? Where can I turn to? Which is again, is so I'm grateful that you have this type of platform coming forth, so that many of our people can come and see, and that are a part. And I'm hoping that many more come and join in, because the world needs to be tuned into this right now, because many of our people need to know there is a solution. There's a place to go. You have people that you can talk to, and that it's not okay, and that there is a way out. And like I say, there's healing when the people and the parties involved want to be healed, but there's also remediation, if that can be brought. And then again, like I say, there's a way out. Like I say, divorce is not a sin. It's just a means to an end, especially an end to abuse, an end to abuse in all its factors. And I yield. Toda Rabah.
All right. May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabah. Toda Rabah. Ishi, did you want to comment?
Cain, Toda Rabah for everybody's words, especially you, Abba Matthias. I pray I'm saying your name right. Please forgive me. Kane, what I was trying to say earlier was kind of just on my experience, if we're still on this subject. But one thing that made me stay, of course it's a layered answer. I think for anyone, male or female, why we stay in those situations, it's always layered. But it was, at the core of it, it was fear. It was fear for me, of fear that I might be found by this person again, fear that he would not disappear from my life. So if I'm always going to be found, if I'm always going to be tracked, then what's the point in leaving, right? Um, that I think that was kind of like the number one thing. Two, another reason I, speaking for myself, I stayed was and I think it was um Hadar Wound Care that mentioned it, that compassion that we spoke about earlier, thinking that if I just stick it out and show him how I want to be treated, maybe he'll adjust, maybe he'll change, right? And that's was another reason. Um, just trying to show that person how I wanted to be treated, hopefully thinking they'll catch on, but that's just not the case with a real abuser, right? That's just never the case. It's always going to go how they want it to go. Um, and then of course manipulation, thinking, being manipulated. I really feel that manipulation is just as bad, not less, but just as bad as being abused, right? Maybe even more so depending on the level of physical abuse. But I believe that manipulation, um that mental that they have over you, is just as bad, or maybe even worse than physical abuse. Because I was being manipulated to believe, not that a divorce was a sin, but coming from Christianity, that before that relationship, that kind of was the foundation of me. So maybe that's another reason to, deep down within. But manipulation, thinking, putting the guilt on me, right? As to, oh, you're the problem, you're if this doesn't work out, it's because of you, and if this doesn't work out, I'm going to tell everybody what you did, and just, or whether they're telling the truth or lying, right? um it's all just fear based, fear. And unfortunately, that fear for me was stronger than my strength. And I remember being asking the Most High so many times, like, give me a sign, give me a sign, give me a sign. But the sign was very, very clear. It was just my unwillingness to admit the truth and admit where I was. I believe my sister wife mentioned that earlier. Like, you sometimes it's just hard to admit where you are. You It's hard to admit that you got yourself in that situation, and even if you truly didn't get yourself in that situation, it's just hard to admit where you are. It's hard to admit how the steps that you got there. It's hard to admit where you are. And yeah. Whew, this is definitely a hard conversation. But I also want to point out that I think it's important to look at the signs before things get bad, the signs beforehand. For me, just thinking, I can look back at that old relationship now and dissect it the best I can. I'm in a mental space where I can do that. Thank the Most High for that. And what I missed at the very beginning were the red flag, not the red flags in the middle where things are starting to turn, but the red flags at the very, very beginning, where you're questioning, like, oh, is it not, right? Because the red flags in the middle or in the end are always very obvious, right? It's always things that are happening, or things that you can say, like, okay, this is definitely an issue. But the red flags in the beginning are kind of like, you're not sure, right? And I think it's important to just say, if you're not sure, then just back away, because listening to that intuition, it will probably save you your life and so much time. And what I that is what I think was my part and my downfall in that. I did not listen to that subtle red flags in the very, very beginning. For example, the relationship moving at the speed of light. It was very, very quick. I think that's a telltale sign of someone being emotionally unstable. I'm not talking about like a quick courtship, right? I'm not talking about like y'all met this year and y'all got married the next year, like, right? Because some people, everyone has their different feelings of how quick a relationship can go, but I'm talking about like y'all are dating and then maybe a month later he wants to move in, like that type of quickness. There's no marriage involved, like there's no official courtship or anything, but things are still moving like you guys are so, quote unquote married. But you get what I'm saying? Like it's just moving quick for no reason. And I think that is a telltale. Now that I can look back on that, I think that's a telltale sign of someone being emotionally unstable, because they're not able, you and that person are not able to see the problem in that. Moving too quickly is really not a good thing, because you miss many things. It can set you up to either fail, or it can set you up to be detrimental, right? So that's what I wanted to say. I'm glad that we're having this talk, because the telltale signs are of course in both men and women, and I think it's utterly disgusting the fact that women feel that if they speak out, that they not only have no place to go to, but that they'll be the ones being blamed. It's that thought process is disgusting. Like, how we are so far gone in our toxicity as a community as a whole, that if anyone speaks out about the abuse that they are receiving, man or woman, but the woman more than likely will get blamed. Insane. Absolutely insane and disgusting. So Kane, total rabah for this platform, Alba, and allowing us to speak on this. Shalom.
Okay. You know, y'all bring out a lot of interesting topics. Let me tell you about Maisha there, the one that was just speaking. I remember when we first got married. And when we first got married, the first time we had a disagreement, I raised my voice. And she was as if I raised my hand to hit her.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
That was her response. She was so shell-shocked from abuse. And I mean, the story she tell me was just awesome in that relationship with the one dude that I know about. He actually picked up something and hauled it across the room and hit her in the hip right here. And she showed me this picture, this big bruise she had on her hip from the abuse that she was receiving.
Okay.
How she's afraid of belts now and things of that nature. This is all real. This stuff really happens in the mind of a woman from the trauma that they receive in these horrible relationships. But people don't see this stuff. They don't hear this stuff because they keep their mouth shut, because they don't say nothing, because they don't expose the individuals, but they need to. You know, I just thought about, how different the relationship was with her versus my other wife, and both of them was in abusive relationships, but this one's abuse was a lot more physical that I know of than the other one's abuse, and I mean, it was, I could see it in her emotions whenever I raised my voice to her, whenever we had a disagreement. And it was like scary, like, she's scared I'm gonna haul off and hit her, knock upside the head with something. That's the type of emotion that she demonstrated, and that's a sign that person is in an abusive relationship. And that was almost a year after her relationship had ended. As a matter of fact, it might have been a little over. It was like 2 months over a year after her relationship. When did you come live here? In February, right? January, February, March. What month was that when you came to here?
It was Broke up January 2021. Yeah, it was about a year. It was close to it, a year and a few months, but it was close
Yeah.
to a year mark.
Yeah. And that was all
But
that time after.
right, but the moment you're talking about was even after that year. I'm talking about we when we got married, that moment was a little bit within our that was further in our marriage. It was like maybe a few months within the marriage. And then that happened between you and
We're
I.
looking like a year and 6 months, maybe. Somewhere in there. Anyway, whatever it is, it's too long for that type of response. So that
Mm.
shows you the magnitude and the level of trauma that she was coming from and had built within her. And that's a horrible thing. No woman should be forced to remain in a situation like that. None. Now, of course, when you come to us and you speak to us, the first thing that we seek for is mediation. We want to try to fix the problem. But we also understand that sometimes you can't fix the issue. You can't fix the problem. Sometimes the only way you can fix it is to separate. When it's that bad, we know, and separation is needed before somebody's life is taken. And that was a perfect example of a situation where somebody could have lost their life. It was that bad. If I can share this portion, and I don't know, let's leave it alone. Let's move on. Abba, did you want to say something?
Just agreeing with what you said. Like I say, it's nuanced, and that's why, like I said, I'm thankful for a forum such as this, and to have people. And again, when I think about when the scripture says that we're basically to unite ourselves with those of like belief, because again, that's the key with community. We have in co-unity. I have a common unity. Co means together. If we have a common unity, then we're going to, again, like I say, seek remediation. And then if there's no remediation, then there has to be remedy. If there's no remediation, then there has to be remedy. And that's where and a key part of that is where the men in this thing, of course, everybody's going to have to be responsible for their part, but these men that, whether they want to be men or be males, they're still, their ultimate responsibility is the welfare and the being, even if they part of their family. Because if you have someone that you have taken as your Isha and you've brought forth children, you're still responsible. You're not going to, and the last thing that I could see is a man or male finding a way to escape his responsibility to his offspring. Because then that's look, even if you're just going to be a male, you're going to be made a man that day. And so that's where, like say, there that accountability as a community to hold him to it. And that's where I do not like the state run system of oh my gosh, what is it called?
Human services, child services.
Right, the whole thing with child services, because basically they come into the marriage relationship and play the part of the man. Say, okay, this is how the children are going to be taken care of. This is what you're going to do for her. You're going to give her X amount of dollars. When the man, even where, and again, that takes man, male, whatever, you have to own up and say, okay, if we're not going to be together, here's what I'm going to provide for you. Here's what I'm going to provide for the children, because you're still my responsibility. I'm taking you on as responsibility. Even if we part ways, you just don't go and say, well, I'm going to go be a bachelor again. Now, this woman has to be a single mother raising these children and has to go and either go work or do whatever it takes to survive. That's where, again, like I said, that remediation is key. And if it's not remediation, then remedy. So I yield.
May the Most High be praised. Sister Chasey, did you want to speak? I don't know if you're speaking, sis, but you can't be heard. Sister Chasey? Yes,
Can you
yes,
hear me now?
yes.
Okay. Excuse my background because I'm driving back to Atlanta. Okay. Whew, that was especially with Ash. Is it Ashi? Is her name Ashi? I,
I
I,
see.
Ashi, your your
Oh,
wife.
a co-autumn.
Cool. Okay. Yes. I definitely can relate to her because she said a lot, and it just kind of reminded me of what I've been through. Um, a lot of times that we stay is because of, you know, fear is the number one reason why we stay is because fear of the unknown. It's like, what else is out there? Because especially when you look at social media and different other outlets, you kind of see like the pickings are very slim. So it's like you stay in situations because it's like, I mean, we feel that there's no better out there. Why leave a situation to jump into something else that probably will be the same thing? So we might as well stay. So fear of the unknown. Also, the hope. We also stay because we hope that that person will change. We hope, oh, I can, we come into a lot of these relationships, especially as Black women, we feel we could save everybody. That was like our role for so many times. We caretake for everybody. All the weight is always on us. So we feel like, oh, we could come in here and be this superwoman. Oh, he's going to change. I'm going to be that woman that changes him. It doesn't work like that. I've learned to know now. And I wish that was a lesson that I've learned a whole lot sooner. Um, it's just a bad situation. That's all I can say. And it's really, it hits a lot of nerves because it kind of brings you back to that headspace where you sort of help heal from. Because I don't. It's like I'm not fully healed from it, and I can admit that.
Mm.
So it's a hard situation to,
And how
even
long has it
speak
been for
about.
you? How long has it been for you since you've been in that situation?
It's like I'm still dealing with it now because we have children. But when you're dealing with somebody who feel like, oh, they don't have to follow the rules or that you won't tell or anything like that, because even up to 3 years ago, he came to my house trying to hit me because when I told my children asked me, Mom, why you don't celebrate Thanksgiving? And I told them why. And one of my children went back and told their white friends, and that white friend was offended, and they told their mom, oh, guess what, they were like, guess why, Aiden's mom doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving. And they were saying it just to say, because they didn't understand the whole concept, but the mother took it very offensively and went and told their father. And 8, 9 o'clock at night, he came to my house, and my son boohoo crying because he lost a friend. Um, they said they don't want to be friends with me anymore because they said my mom's, teaching, you know, I guess they felt it was racist why I don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
So when I told my son, I said, listen, son, I basically told him, listen, that's my truth. That's what I know to be true. And their father was like, well, telling them, well, that's not a true statement. You know, different things with the Indians and the pilgrims and different things like that and whatever. They didn't, kill all the Indians and whatever it is, trying to basically let my son know whatever I felt, in my heart was true, wasn't true. So when I told him, I said, you know what, I already don't have time for this. Can't believe you even showed up at my house to confront me for something, and you're defending the other side and you're trying to attack me for it. So when I went back in my house, this man beat down my door. And thank goodness my best friend was with me because she was able to witness the violence This man was beat down my door. He tried to push it open, different things. Because when I was walking back inside, I didn't have the door shut yet. So when I was walking back inside, he pushed at the door. I ended up falling down. My best friend had to help me come shut the door and everything, or whatever it is. And it was a shook situation for her because she never even knew that I was going through this because I was so silent about it. And she was like, Shay, how long has this been going on? And then when I told her, she was like, oh no, we're pressing charges. And it's been bad ever since. But the thing is like I've been kept quiet for so long and never, really got the law involved. So he felt that he could continually do these things to me. So it took my friend to not ease up off of the situation and not get legal involved and get legal involved for this situation. And I did press charges, and we're going through this situation right now.
Now, I would almost guarantee you, had the situation been reversed and your girlfriend was the one suffering, she wouldn't have called the cops. Usually, they'll suffer for a long time before they take those levels of extreme. But we always be willing, we can always give good advice to others, but we have a problem with following our own good advice that we give to others. And if it was her that was being abused like that, she would have probably been in your situation and keeping silent and allowing the abuse to continue until one of her friends pull her coat and say, hey, get it together, like she did with you. It's always easier for us to look at somebody else's situation, somebody else's life, and give them options of bettering themselves or their lives. But for some reason, we don't make our lives like we try to tell everybody else to do. And that's the part about being stuck in this situation. It's like being in a dream fantasy state of always wishing that it's going to get fixed, it's going to change, it's going to be better, but it ain't. As long as you remain there, it's going to get worse. And that's what a lot of people don't know, don't see, don't understand. You have to get out of these situations. You got to get serious help, and you got to get out of these situations. If it's not, it's going to get worse. Did you want to say something else, Sister Shacey?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It did get, things do get worse. So I don't advise anyone to stay because they don't get better. I think it's just that hopeful thinking that, that suffering that we've all been through. I believe suffering and just trauma is just embedded in our DNA for years. And we're so used to that to the point that we become sort of comfortable and tolerant for the nonsense and the stress when it shouldn't even be that way. And I don't know why we do it. And it's like, it's just really tough. And I guess you could just take the floor because it's just it's hard to talk about it, especially when you're, dealing with different things yourself.
All right, very well. May the Most High be praised. Baba, you wanted to mention?
Yes, just kind of touch on that. There's a book written by Dr. Joyce DeGruy called Post-Traumatic Slavery Syndrome. A lot of it, again, some things you've already kind of touched on in the beginning, and even some things in the earlier class. A lot of the things that and the things that we're dealing with, even as a people, when you think about our soldiers when they come back and they're dealing with PTSD, and they get instant. I wouldn't say instant, but there's help for them because of the trauma that they've dealt with in war, the different things that they've seen, the different atrocity that they've been a part of, or seeing. Even if they didn't see one of their comrades lose their life, either being captured, being tortured, or just being in the situation where you got bullets flying over your head. They were in a very traumatic situation. And one of the things that Dr. George DeGrasse brings out is that that as a people, there's help for everybody but us. Because when you think about 400 plus years of slavery, of being, again, something that you had touched on, like one of the reasons that that Dr. George brings out in her book, that a lot of our men and women are dysfunctional in this age, if I may use that term, is that because a lot of it is been put into our genetic code. It's like there's a saying that what one generation allows in moderation, the next will practice in excess. But one of the things that was done to us, where we as men, if you look back in slavery time, the practice of buck breaking, to where a man just so that the European slave masters would make sure that they had the dominance, because they knew that we are alphas, that we are naturally alphas. And so they would bring out one of the strongest men, and they would not just simply beat him in public, they would rape him in public. They would do all types of harmful things to him in front of his family and make them watch. You better not turn your head away, so that they would look and say, well, there's no help for me in that man. There's nothing that he can do to ease my suffering. He's a victim himself. And then when the men are basically used as breeding stock, they're right here in South Carolina. There are still places, of course, they're historic landmarks now, but I mean, those places are garbage. They should be torn down. Who wants to remember that crap? But again, those that forget the past are destined to repeat it. There are things that when we're forgiving someone, yes, we forgive them and we let those things go on. But there are some things that if we don't remember that so that we won't repeat the past. But a lot of our men were used as breeding stock. And so they were just there to make babies, and they were just making a product, because we were sold as chattel slavery. We were property. And so our product was our children, strong backs to go and work the fields and to do whatever else they needed, to clean the house and do whatever they needed to do. And so when they were shipped off, and so it was put in us, and a lot of our men, to not attach ourselves to our children, because what's the purpose? Because they're only going to be taken away from me. So, and if I take this woman to wife, if Miss Lucy catches my eye, and I'm going to take her, as soon as Master knows that I like her, he's going to take her. He's going to do whatever he does with her. And these things have been passed down to us. It doesn't give us as a people an excuse to just do whatever the hell we want to do. But one of the things it does is allow us to kind of open our eyes to the reality of why a lot of things are. And for those of us, because during that time, you also had a lot of uprisings, a lot of rebellions. So there are a lot of our men and women that said, you know what, bump this. We're not going to take it. If we lose our lives, we lose our lives, because we're not going to live like this. That's why there's so many uprisings. A lot of things that's not talked about today as well. So again, this is where having a community and communities being linked together to where we can be help to one another, to help bring healing to our community, healing to our people, and let them know that there is hope. Because even as the Okodi said, there was hope. I think about like with my son, and he said, you know what, I believe I can make this work. I believe, and now he's no longer here with us. And no life is worth just trying to make it work, and in a relationship that's toxic, especially when that person doesn't want to be helped. I'm something of a movie aficionado. One of my favorite movies is The Matrix, and one of the key things in the movie The Matrix is this: that a lot of minds were freed because they were young. Why? Because young minds are more able to see that there's a better reality, and the reality of the situation that they're in is an illusion. And here's what the real world is, and here's what you need to do to live in the real world. And some minds are like, well, I'm going to hold on to the fantasy, because when you think about even the phrase, you know, that's fantastic, because of the morphology of the English language, fantastic has been morphed into meaning something that is great, something that's often awesome and phenomenal. But the word fantastic actually means something that is rooted in fantasy, something that is unbelievable. That's why it's, man, that's fantastic. In other words, it's hard to believe. So a lot of it is, again, hindsight being 2020, and reaching out and just being able to be healing to one another now, that are already in these situations, and be, as men, be the best examples as we can be to those men and those males that will listen and that will take heed and want to better themselves and try to heal the hurts, and let them know that just like how the people, the military members, they have counselors for PTSD and they getting all these wonderful benefits. There was nobody to benefit us. They just expect us to come out and, well, we're going to be okay. You know, we just got to fight through it and just deal with it. And that's not always easy to do. So that's where, like I said, we have to be there for one another, because when it comes down to it, all we have is us. And I yield.
That's absolutely true. All we have is us. Benazante, would you like to say anything?
Can you hear me?
Kane.
Okay. Yeah, earlier, I was gonna say, y'all go sit down over there. Go sit down over there. Yeah, Zion, go sit over there for a second.
You was gonna say that? You gonna say that?
Say what? Nah, but I was gonna say, I think a lot of times when it comes to marriages, and this is something that I'm learning as well, is that what keeps us in certain places is there's a few different things. Gabby, hold on, it's okay. There's a few different things. First thing being, sometimes we hold on to like what I like to call like a false hope. And what the false hope is that sometimes, like even Abba Metathais was just saying, you know, we're accustomed, and Shay C was saying, like, we're kind of accustomed to being a part of things or staying to things that don't serve us or don't bring us don't bring us into the right situations, don't fulfill us. You know, we've always served others, you know, sought out the other Elohim and other things. And like I said, trauma has been embedded into us since the days of slavery. So I do feel that it can be a psychological thing within us just as people, because like I said, we hold on to like a false hope. And in the beginning, like Sister Autumn was saying, is that, you know, when you see the signs in the middle and towards the end, it's already too late because you're already in it, you know. And sometimes it's like, once you're in it, you know, you see red signs at the beginning, red flags at the beginning, but it's like you don't pay attention to them because you're so excited, you're so amped up on just the high that, you know, you're not even conscious. Like, it pretty much, you're not even thinking consciously. You jump straight into it, and so you start seeing these little things, but you're not fully, you know, in the beginning, you're not even fully invested, fully committed. You're not any of those things. So it's like, you know, those red signs and red flags, you don't pay attention to those things. And then it's like, once you get inside of it, you know, I know.
We can't hear you any longer.
Can y'all still hear me?
Now we can.
Did I go out?
Yeah, once you get inside those things, you know. All right, you out again. We can't hear you. All right, we're gonna let him go. Let him go. Ima, did you want to say anything? Ima, are you speaking?
Yes, I said I can read some comments if you like.
Okay, very well.
Sister Hadassah said, for me, my breaking point was knowing I could not continue to let my children grow up, think that treatment was normal. My daughters couldn't grow up thinking they deserved that, nor could my son grow up thinking that was the way he should treat women.
Absolutely right.
I had to leave thinking of who they would grow up to be, their identity and perception of the world shaped by the abuse I never wanted them to normalize.
And that's very big of you to consider how your children will grow up in this world experiencing that type of abuse. Read on, please.
Brother Abraham says, none of our forefathers beat their wives. El Shaddai told us what to do if your wife doesn't listen. You write a bill and send her out your house. We don't beat our women. Teach my way.
May the Most High be praised.
And then Sister Saadia said, all praises to the Creator for delivering you, Prince.
Oh, absolutely.
And Sister Zachariah said, had I not chosen truth over pride, I would have never seen the grave danger my children were in inside of that marriage. I bless the Most High forever for his deliverance.
May the Most High be praised. To the Rabbah.
Sister Aisha says, an abused person can be emotionally unstable, which can make it hard to speak out in a respectful manner.
Understandable. Understandable.
Sister Hadassah says, it's easy to think that it's the sex that makes women stay. For many women, that's not the issue at all. Every woman is not that carnal, simple. Some think they should stay, serve, and heal a man who is hurt. Who is hurt. And Sister Sadia said, I told Abby that once he feels to hit a woman, that's his cue to leave. And Sister Aisha said, some people stay because they love their abuser, not their abuse, but the person. She said, I know it sounds insane. That's true.
That's true. I understand.
Sister TT says, I had loved my husband. I was submissive, respectful, support, loving. He seemed happy until his mother saw that and became jealous. She told my husband he couldn't have children, so he has none. What else? She parts to it, I think.
Sad.
Then told him that he should get my apartment from me and put me out. She harassed him until he became violent with me.
But you can't blame the mother for all that, because at one point that man has to be accountable for his actions towards you. He should have cut his mom off if she was feeding him all that negative energy. But go ahead.
She said, the court wouldn't help me. The Creator revealed to me to train for war. Training hard, I was able to fight him and keep him from throwing me out of my window.
That's sad.
And when I scroll back up, Sister Hadassah said, to clarify, several Hebrew leaders told me to stay. In fact, more Hebrew leaders, men, told me to stay despite the divorce than others, Jewish and Christian. She said, for me, the abuse was psychological, verbal, emotional, sexual, financial. It wasn't physical the way you described it. It was more concerned for the children being physically and verbally abused. Hold on,
That's sad, sis.
She said, she cleared it up. They stayed despite the abuse. She said, to clarify, several Hebrew leaders told me to stay. In fact, some Hebrew leaders, men, told me to stay despite the abuse than the others, and even told me to leave my children with him, and he abused them.
Let's think about that for a second. If they're his children, no matter what the difference is with you and him, those children belong to him. You shouldn't take those children from him. They're supposed to be with him. But now the important part is that you just said, and he abused them. So if he abused them children, then absolutely not. And I understand that. If the life of those children was being threatened and those children was truly being abused, not because you say so, but because you experienced it, and that abuse was causing mental damage to those children or physical damage to those children, then yes, as their mother, that child, those children need a safe place to live. So it's very difficult to take sides in this situation because we didn't hear the whole impact of the situation from both sides. So let's just assume that everything that you are saying is 100% the way it was correct. Not that you're lying or anything. I don't mean to infer that. What I'm saying is, before we as the outsiders can make an honest decision, we have to hear both sides of the story. But from what you're saying, if what you're saying is actually how things lined up, then you're absolutely right. You have to take those children so that they too won't be abused while you're leaving and in your absence. So may the Most High be praised. And that's a sad situation. Sorry you had to experience that. But there's a lot of situations on this call tonight that are sad. A lot of people are not speaking up. I'm thankful that those of you who are typing in some of your situations and voicing your situation and opinion, I'm thankful that you're doing what you're doing, because there's a lot of people on this call that haven't said 2 words about their situation, but yet they know that they're in these situations. But that's okay. Let's read on, please.
And I mean, as I point us to Christ, as all of y'all truly on point, it's so important to keep the unit of family structure. I left when I realized he was not as strong as I thought, so I made sure family was connected and I was okay.
May the Most High be praised.
Sister Aisha says, Elder Mattathias, my abuse occurred within the community and I did not see it coming, but I also left fast. Definitely scared me.
Now that comment there, she says her abuse occurred within the community, coming from the people of the community, and it was abusive to her. Very real situation. She left fast, didn't look back twice, didn't think, she was out. And I understand. Now, in her situation, I would have prayed that it could have had a different outcome. But I'm thankful that she's here today still searching and seeking after the Creator. Because what she experienced that I know of, from what she's experienced in that community or a community that she was in, most people that I know that experience situations like that turn away from the Creator. They just don't leave the community that they were involved with. They turn away from the Almighty, and they hold some kind of guilt against the Almighty as if he allowed them to be beat up, kicked down, stomped on, abused, beaten, cussed out. As if the Creator failed them, and they leave the Almighty and begin to hit the streets and do what they want to do to live their life. Most people I know that experience some of the things that she experienced, they usually turn away from the Almighty. But just so be it that she's still here and she's still doing what she got to do to serve this King. That's a beautiful thing. My hat is off to you, sis. May the Most High be praised.
Sister Aisha, oh no, not that one. Sister Hadassah says, yes, Elder, predators take advantage of one's weakness, physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual weakness, and vulnerability, socially and financially. Sister Saadia says, I'm so grateful that you touched on emotional well-being as well at Elder, because people tend to overlook emotional abuse.
That's right.
Ed Graham says, the men that abuse teach abuse, won't take it if it was their daughter getting abused.
That's true.
Sister Sadia says, Ed Graham says, not always. Some fathers are okay with their daughters being abused so long as the father doesn't have to be emotionally, physically, or financially responsible for the daughter.
I wanted to talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up. Go up to Brahm's comment. Yeah, the men that abuse teach abuse, won't take it if their daughter's getting abused. I don't know about that. And this is what I say. This is going to be hard to put in motion and put in play what I'm about to say. It's going to be hard. The way that I'm going to display it, you'll see what I understand. You'll understand what I mean. When you try to teach somebody about how to live and how to conduct themselves as a father to a young lady that's rebelling against what you teach, there's really nothing you can say once they go out there and start having sex and experiencing relationships. How can you get mad that they get to experience somebody disrespecting them, somebody beating them up, cussing at them, somebody not taking care of the children, somebody impregnating them. When you talk to them the whole lifetime that they got to live and explained it to them, but they ignored you and they did what they wanted to do. Yeah, I understand. They still your children. You still don't want that to happen to your children. There ain't nothing wrong with you not wanting to happen to them. But you can't control what people do when you give them advice and instructions and they ignore it. That's just like people today. Princes say, hey, listen, don't eat that, and this is why. And 6 months later, they're still eating those things that they were warned against, and their face busts out with these big boils as a result of them eating those things. Sure, you feel sorry for them. Sure, you want to give them something to ease the pain or to help it go down, but how much remorse can you really feel when you pre-warned them and you prepared them not to do such a thing? Especially when these people claim to be Hebrew. They come up in this way of life, your own children, your biological children. They come up in this way of life and you raise them and you give them instructions. You give them instructions what to do, what not to do. Not only do you give it to them and leave it with them, but you live it. You show them the example through your lifestyle, and you're giving them instructions while they're being raised how to conduct themselves as young men, as young women. And then when they get to the age of accountability, all the teachings, all the instructions, and all that you inferred upon them, they disregard and go out in them streets and do what they want to do. I got a daughter right now. She went out and got an apartment. I don't play that. You don't know. You don't do that. That's not what we do. You live in your father's house until you're married. And when you're married, then you go out and you can go do your thing. But she didn't want to listen. She called me one day. First, my son told me she got an apartment. Okay, my daughter tried to get an apartment off of me. And I told her, I said, you don't do that. You stay where you are until you're married. She got a good job. She's making a couple dollars. I try to teach her how to take that, stay in my house where you at, and take your money, put it up, bank it, and I'll show you how to make that money work for you later. She was too fast, too antsy, too ready to move. She went and got an apartment. I ain't seen her apartment, don't care to see her apartment, and I won't help her with her apartment. And whatever she experiences by doing that, she went against what I taught her to do. So how much can I really be worried about or willing to participate and help in that situation once things go against the way that I said that it would happen, once it doesn't work out the way she thinks in her mind, being young, that it's going to work? Why should I feel within myself, because she's your daughter? You wouldn't say the same thing if it was a son, would you? No, you would feel different if it was a boy. I feel the same way, be it boy or girl. They're supposed to, that's why we're here, to give them proper instructions. Let me tell you, I had this cousin of mine, a young cousin, female cousin. Matter of fact, I could do better than that. I have a sister, and my sister calls me up one day. Now we going back. We going back half my years, half my age, like 35, somewhere around there. We going back a long time ago, many years ago, right? When we used to be out there in the streets. My sister calls me up. Hey, my husband, I don't know if she was married to no, I don't think they was married at the time. I was a boyfriend at the time, but they was living together. And we didn't know nothing about this way of life, but we was gangsters in the street. So she says, he hit me. Oh, man, that's all she had to say. Man, I banged that phone up. I shot down there and went to the boy house. What's up, man? You know what? Ready to hurt somebody. Ready to do something to somebody. Right? Maybe 10 years later, they got married. Me and the guy stopped speaking. Her and him got married. Another situation, my niece called me up about this dude, put his hands on her. I go down there and go see him. Handle my business with this guy. I'm telling you, experience. This is real life stories, and it all applies to what we're talking about. Put his hands on her. So I go see his house, a big fallout take place out that situation. Each time they end up back together again. My daughter, another daughter, her husband, me and him was really cool. We was real cool, young guy, real cool. I go talks to him. And I had a conversation with him about putting his hands on my daughter. And here's my conversation. Another one that didn't follow my instructions, but here's my conversation. I said, that's your property. That woman belongs to you. You shouldn't put your hands on her. But me, I can't tell you what to do because she's your property. But if you feel like you need to put your hands on her, it's time for y'all to separate. I didn't threaten, and I had no idea or no desire to threaten. It was his woman. And whatever he does with his woman, she deserved it because she asked for it. If it happened in a way in which they broke up, now we're not talking about death, we ain't talking about no abuse, we're talking about the situation because she went against the instructions that she received. And that's what happens when you go out into the world. What does the Creator do? He gives you over to your desires. So I gave her over to her desires. That's what she wanted, that's what she did. And we had a great relationship. Me and the guy was cool. Me and my daughter was cool. But she did against what I instructed her to do. So me and the guy having conversation, and I'm telling him about many stories that I had when my sisters, my niece, my little sister, when they would call because their husbands or their boyfriends did some physical stuff to them, and I rushed to their aid, they always ended back up with that individual. And I said, but you know what? I could have went out there and killed this dude. I would have been in jail. They would have been in jail if they killed me. Something like that could have happened from me running to the aid of a female because she said he put her hands on her. I said, I don't do that no more. I stopped that a long time ago. And I still don't do it to the day. I mind my business. If I give you instructions, you follow my instructions, I put you down with this young man and he gets that way, then I'll deal with that. That I'll deal with. But when you swear to me that you will never go get another man unless you bring him to your father so your father can make sure he's good, make sure he's wholesome, and you don't do that, and you go against the oath and the covenant that you made with your father, and you go get a dude that ain't no good. So the young man that I told, my daughter's husband, and they was married, that you don't do that. You don't run to the aid and assistance of them because they're going to end up back together. You may end up losing your life. You may end up killing that guy. It wasn't a week later that his sister, who wasn't even his biological sister, it was his father's girlfriend's daughter, calls him on the phone and tells him that her boyfriend smacked her. He forgot everything we talked about. He jumps in his car, go get his homie, and they ride up to the Bull house where the girl lived. He puts his strap on, his pistol on him. He walks up to the door to go knock on the door. The guy reached out the door and shot him in the head and killed him. And then the guy started unloading on the dude in the car. Didn't shoot the dude in the car. Dude in the car pulls off, got away. But my son-in-law is dead today because he didn't listen. I have no remorse. I can't have any remorse for people who don't heed good, sound instructions. I don't, because it would drive me crazy trying to imagine all of the people in my little life who did not heed instructions that was given to them. And I ain't talking about once, I ain't talking about twice, I'm talking about a lifelong series of instructions just for them to grow up and do their own thing. I can't feel remorse for that. I can't. But at the same time, one of those people who do take heed and try to do everything that they're supposed to do in the manner that they're supposed to do, I would give my life to make sure that they got proper justice. So if that meant I had to go away for some period of time for something that I had to do because they was misused, abused, or misused, then so be it. But I usually don't move in that manner that nobody gonna take me nowhere. That ain't usually the manner I move in. May the Most High be praised. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. But I'm not so silly where I'm gonna go out there, hey, you, round the corner, hey, come on, or cut their throat or shoot or get involved in some physical and draw all that attention and all that trouble. That's not me. I don't move like that. But all I'm saying is, it's different. And I can understand where the brother's coming from. The men that teach abuse, won't take it if their daughters were getting abused. Well, to me, that all depends on if she followed my instructions or not. If she followed my instructions, then, hey, if something happened to her, I'm responsible for that and I got to correct it. If she doesn't follow my instructions, then I got to back off because I can get out there. How are you going to defend a lie? How are you going to defend unrighteousness? See, Abba, I heard what you said about if somebody touched one of yours, but yours are unique. Yours are different. And I would have the same stance if I was in your situation, but I'm not. Most of mines are out there doing what they want to do and still call themselves Hebrews, still observe. They probably listening right now to the lesson. They shut down and do what they got to do for the Shabbat in all the stuff they do throughout the week. They own their own businesses, but they shut their businesses on the Shabbat so they can observe the holy Shabbat. But when it comes to them and other males, females and other males, they do what they want to do. The majority of them, not all of them, but the majority of them. And that's after they swore oath to me that they wouldn't do it. So how involved can I really get? I refuse to. But if they walk this walk like they're supposed to, and they adhere to the covenant that we agreed upon, then whatever happens is my fault and not theirs. So that's how I look at that. That's just how I view it. So that's in response to what my brother had to say. The men that teach abuse, won't take it if their daughters, if their daughters was getting abused. And a lot of males feel that way. I'm not a man that feels that way. I'm something different. It's just the way I am. So what was that response after that, Ima, that the sister put up? See, I'm on the side of righteousness. That's where I'm at. I'm on the side of righteousness. And if you're in a righteous position and you were abused, then I'll bend over, I'll help you, I'll go broke, I'll go hungry, I'll go homeless to make sure you got food, make sure you got money, make sure you got a house. I will walk the streets at night if I had to, sleep in my car if I had to, as long as you walking in righteousness. But if you walking deceitful, there's almost nothing that you can get me to do to help you. And that's just how I am. And Brahm, not always. Some fathers are okay with their daughters being abused so long as the father doesn't have to be emotionally, physically, or financially responsible for the daughters. Well, that's not me. I would be physically, emotionally, and financially responsible as long as they live like they were supposed to live. See, because that other lifestyle breeds that type of attention. So you're only getting what you put out. Then you wonder why this dude is not working out, why he's knocking you upside the head, why he's not taking care of your 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. It's because you went about the whole process wrong. So you're going to live that life, not me. I'm not going to get involved in that. That's your decision. So sorry to say, but that's just me. But if you are genuinely being abused and you do the very best you can to be the very best wife, the very best mother, the very best servant of the Creator, the very best person in the community, you're doing your best. Then Prince is here and I'll do my best to help. I'll do whatever I can do to help that situation to make it right. But if you're not doing your best and you're not even trying to walk in your best, it ain't but so much you're going to get from me. Like right now, a woman call us up and say, hey, I need to come to y'all community and seek refuge right now because he's beating me up. Every day he's beating me up. But she ain't mentioning that every day she's running around committing whoredom with the guys down the street, the guy up the street. She ain't mentioning all that. And because she's a female and she start boo-hooing, a lot of people lose focus on the reality of trying to understand why these things are happening. And I don't do that. At least I try not to do that. I want to know, why is this happening to you? Because it ain't always that these guys are completely out of order. It ain't always that. A lot of times, like a lot of sisters has brought out, a lot of times people bring these things on themselves because they're not properly lining themselves up with the Most High in righteousness and truth and justice. A lot of times they doing what they want to do, and when it backfires in their face, now let's stop playing these games. How many of us are sitting on this line right now with 2 or 3 children by different men, and each and every one of them was a one-night stand that we really didn't expect to work out. The last one, we tried to make it work, but we didn't do anything to better ourselves to get it right. Now we stuck in a situation and we want everybody to come and feel sorry for us. Come on, unless you change your mindset. Now we all got a past and we all make mistakes. But if you still in that same type of person and now you want to come ask for help, there's nothing we can do for you. Nothing. But I want to come and live in your community. Have you changed? Have you changed your mindset? Have you changed how you think, how you view life, how you view your responsibility to the opposite sex? Have you changed your relationship with the Almighty where you won't be so disrespectful to him by giving yourself to these dudes out here in this world? Because if you didn't, then you're going to just come in here and pollute what we got going on. I don't want that to happen. So we got to be mindful that when we hear a story, it doesn't always mean that that person is truly the victim. Sometimes they have done things to cause that person, the other person, to lose their mind, to lose their cotton-picking mind. And he's crazy now. Why? Because you screwed his best friend in his house. And now you want him to forgive you. Sometimes that's the case. We're not talking about those types of situations today. What we're talking about today is people who strive to be as righteous as possible, the sisters or the abused men. They strive to be as righteous as possible. And in their striving to be as righteous as possible, the other person has been abusive and giving them things that they don't deserve. They're and bringing down the abuse on them that could eventually take their lives, and they need help. So that's the people we want to talk to. Those are the people we want to help, and that's where we want to bring the healing at. So I'm gonna relinquish the mic. Albert, did you want to say something?
No, I just concur with what you're saying. Like the post I just shared, we can't be triggers and then look surprised when they go off. And like I said, a key is that you have to, like I said, in all wisdom is the principal thing, and all you're getting, get understanding, because all the time, that's why I guess a lot of times when people look at, like when the police show up to a situation, they separate the parties and they go talk to each one to see what exactly is going on, to make sure that they can make a right ruling, make a right judgment. Because you can have, I think back many years ago when I was in the Air Force, and there was a young lady I was seeing at the time, nothing serious, but we went out a couple of times, and then we went to a movie, and after the movie, she wanted to go somewhere, and I was like, well, okay, no, it's getting late, got work the next day, got training or whatever. And she started kind of, getting upset. And it was like, I'm like, wait a minute, you have training too. Let's use a little common sense. We need rest for, what we got to do. And so she started trying to get a little violent. I'm like, no. It's time to walk away, because first of all, I'm not going to be a punching bag. I will defend myself. But before it gets to the point where I got to put hands on you, it's time to walk away. And after that, I'm like, nope, I just walked away, left her alone. She tried to, even after we left the training station, she tried to send cookies to my house, saying, you know, hey, how you doing? I'm like, out of sight, out of mind. No. That's toxic. And I don't do toxic. And so, no. I had to leave that. Like say, there was this rapper T-Bone said you gotta let that thing go, and I let that thing go because because that would have been ugly.
You see the strength you demonstrated then? A lot of us don't have that strength. And we'll see the ugliness in a person and still, like the sister said, think they're going to change him.
True, because there's hope.
Yeah, you got to run and flee. Like one of the sisters said, the first time you see the first signs, you got to recognize. I think that was my Isha said that. You got to recognize the first warning signs and flee.
And I have no problem with running.
Say it again. Say it again.
I have no problem with running.
Yeah, you got to.
A good run is better than a bad stand any day.
That's right. That's right. May the Most High be praised. Ima?
Sister Zakaria says manipulation is abuse. It is abuse of the truth and a person's right to choice. Sister Hadassah says, right at Autumn, the psychological abuse is far worse than the physical. The manipulation can literally write your mind and your perception. Sister Saadia said, when I asked for a sign, I thought I just had to pray harder for the love to be reciprocated and for the abuse to stop. Nadathai says, then shame on those fathers. So many men are detached and feel relieved of what they consider a burden. Bram says, your wife is not your child. You discipline your children, not your wife. You rule her, guide her, and teach her. Bram also says, those are the ways of the heathen, not the ways of El Shaddai. Hadassah says, yes, at Autumn reminds me of what my mom used to say. When in doubt, do without. When love is real, there is no confusion. My mom used to say, confusion is not of the Most High. Hadassah, Sister Saada says, some parents shouldn't be parents.
Yeah, that's true.
The gentleman says, Cain, this makes us glad to have responsible leaders to guide positive upbringing, Torah Rabbah. Sister TT says, this is so healing. Torah Rabbah Hanasi for offering the daughters designed to express their hurt and pain. Bram says, read the book. El Shaddai said, write a bill, separate.
May the Most High be praised.
Then says Bati Yasmin says, Cain, to be able to address these happenings is both heartbreaking and beautiful. Hearing of where our sisters are coming from, I believe is a great start towards learning how to heal with them.
May the Most High be praised.
Sister Aisha says, right at Sister Hadassah, when in doubt, do without. Always heard, when in doubt, throw it out. Autumn says, it definitely don't work like that. Shaking my head.
Iman, you don't have to do each one. Just do the ones with conversation, comments.
Okay. I mean, it's a whole lot, but Sister Saada says, Cain at Chasey, someone told me, better the devil you know, in terms of slim pickings. The next person could be far worse, though of course leaving the abuse is the best option.
Absolutely.
Sister Opal says, Shalom, I see a lot with my mother growing up in my teen, from my father. Sometimes my sister would leave him. She was Christian at the way. She never want to leave from Zanta.
Shabbat Shalom, Sister Zanta. Shabbat Shalom. She said, I've seen a lot from my mother. Hold that for a second, please. I see a lot with my mother growing up in my teen from my father. Sometimes my sister would leave him. She was Christian at the why she never want to leave, as to why she
changed. She fixed it. She said, my sister tells leave him, but they were married as wife and husband. So she was saying she made a little mistake in her message.
Okay, total about. And that was another indication, another sign of somebody remaining in a marriage being abused. Read on, please.
Sister Aisha says, I don't deal with men who are quick to anger. That's a big red flag.
Absolutely. Or females either. She says, or females either. They quick to anger. That's a big red flag that something is wrong with their stability.
Right.
Individual. They have no self-control.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's pretty much it besides the back and forth. But yeah, I just wanted to add, like, I think a lot of it just what we're talking about with the abuse, the manipulation part is, I think, very heavy. Like, I know in my first marriage, I was married to a person who was born and raised as an Israelite. So you have this misconception about them thinking that they know better. They're better, and they know better, and they'll do better. And I could say, just hands down, that was the worst relationship, and we were married, in this way of life. That was the worst marriage relationship I ever been in, and even for my children, that was the worst example of a man and a husband that my daughters and my son saw. Even the children that I have with him, it was so, because everybody looks at me like a strong woman. Even when I spoke about certain things, people were like, they kind of didn't believe it, because they're just like, well, you're so strong, but it's like abuse doesn't have the person abused doesn't have a face. Like I said earlier, it's not about strength or weaknesses. People, if you love them, and I think somebody said that, I think Aisha said it, you can love your abuser because you love the person, not the abuse. And you want to heal them, you want to help them. And I think one thing for me in that situation was I held him on a pedestal because of the fact that he was born and raised in this way of life. And as I read the law and understood the Most High's words, I understood that he knew better, he should know better, and he would do better. But once he started to, and I believed in polygyny, he even brought on a second wife. But once he did that, our relationship started to become even more abusive. He only put his hands on me twice, but the mental, emotional, financial, and psychological abuse was detrimental. And it wasn't just for me, it was for my children. Like, once he started sleeping around with random women and we still had polygyny, like, I knew at that point I had to get out of there. Because the one thing I told him, and I've even talked to sisters about this, I wasn't going to die from a disease that he gave me because he didn't respect himself or even respect my body enough to not bring something home to me and love the children that were there to take their mother away from him. Because that's what I kept thinking about was, oh, this man's going to give me AIDS or some disease that's going to kill me or damage me for the rest of my life. And a true story, he brought some girl to my house, and I told him, don't come touch me, don't look at me. And my sister wife, because we all lived in this house together, she just let it. I stood my ground on what I did, what I would not. So I told him, you can't bring a strange person in this house. What if she wakes up and kills me and my children? I said, and you didn't get her drug tested. Because I worked at an OBGYN office, I took it upon myself, took the girl there, and I told him, I said, I can guarantee you that this person has diseases, all these different things. I just knew. So I took her, got her tested. A week later, all the tests came back. She had about 3 diseases that could be very damaging to a woman's body. My sister wife at the time came crying to me, trying to apologize. And I said, well, that's your husband. You did what he told you to do. I said, but at times, no disrespect to any man, but as a woman, you have to know where to, at some point, draw that line. Because there should never be And this is just coming from me. And I know all men don't believe in this, but I stood my ground and was like, I'm not being sexual with you after this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that, because you're basically not caring. And she cried to me, scared that she had all these diseases. So I had to take her to the doctor and get her tested. And, you know, only by the grace of the Creator, she didn't. But I don't know if it taught her anything or not. You know, they're still married, so that's not my relationship anymore. But what I know is that from that point on, that's when I started to really focus on praying to the Creator about being with this man anymore, protecting my children and protecting myself. And it took a lot, because we were together for about 5 years. We had 2 children, you know, all these different things. And we're in the midst of this Israelite congregation, and everybody's like, oh, he's doing so much better because of you and all this stuff. They don't see all the stuff on the inside that's happening in this house. But when we come to Shabbat services, he's acting like this noble, or what do you call it, this strong man in front of all the men. But, you know, at home, he's doing all this crazy stuff. It wasn't until later in the relationship that the Israelite spiritual leader at the time, who was my spiritual leader, later after we divorced, that he told me he knew of all the crazy things he was doing, that he would lie for him, that he would cover up the times when I would call and ask, like, if he's seen him, because they used to work together at different places, or just if he's seen him, because he wouldn't.
He was just as corrupt as the dude was.
So, but of course, at the time, I didn't know that. But all these things, I'm just saying, like, it can really break a woman down. You know, like, it was to the point, it was times I would think about suicide, like, what's the best way out of this? And then I had to realize that wasn't the best way, because most importantly, my children needed me more than anything else in the world. They were young, and I wasn't ready to leave them in a world with a father like that, or without me, period. So I just really, like I said, I started praying to the Creator. And then one day I got a message saying that, and I took it to him, but I got a message saying that I was never supposed to even marry him. He was just my introduction into this way of life. And because we both moved fast, jumped the gun.
Just like Autumn brought out.
Right. So because we both moved fast, jumped the gun, and I'm, you know, at the time I was living at my brother's house with my children. He was my covering. Like, my family, we always stayed close together. My mom didn't like him, my brothers, nobody, nephew, everybody was like, no, whatever. But anyway, I did all that, started praying. The Most High showed me that. And I remember going to him and talking to him about it. It was like, we can't be together. Like, this is what the message is for me. And by that time, we were separating anyway. He had decided he didn't want to stay in the marriage. He wanted to go live with my sister's wife at the time. They were both living in the house with me, so they left. Mind you, he needed my help getting an apartment for them. He needed, everything was crazy, because I was still the breadwinner. The house was in my name. All the cars were in my name. All these things. And because I wanted them out of my face, I helped them get a place. But in the end, the Most High just showed the craziest things about when you make these decisions. He shows you how it can go completely left. And that's what it did. Like, we went through 6 years of tumultuous custody battle. Every 6 months, he was taking me to court and losing. He would be losing, but the point of him losing isn't even the most important. It was the fact that my children were being taken back and forth, because he would go to courts and lie and do all these things. And even to this day, you know, my daughter and him do not have a good relationship. My son lives with him because of other manipulative things he's done with my son. And it just shows you, like, you have to really choose wisely. You have to listen to sound advice, because your family, especially those who you know love you and support you, they're not going to tell you no because they don't want to see you happy. They're going to tell you no because they don't want to see you go through the exact thing that I went through or other sisters have gone through. And so even, you know, and I didn't make the right choice again. You know, with my second husband, it was very verbally abusive and mentally abusive, never physical. But that marriage only lasted 5 months because once I saw everything, I was like, oh no, this is not a repeat. We're not doing this. And it was a divorce, and it was, and what I saw my children feeling like they had to defend me, I knew like, no, this is not what we're about to do. We're not, you know, continuing this path. But the basis of both of them was they were both raised in this way of life, you know, by parents who raised them together to walk and to believe in the Creator. And it just shows you that even when you can have some positive parents or good parents, the child doesn't always listen. Or, you know, the son or the daughter, they can go and choose and do a different thing. But the reality of it was that I knew I had to be accountable because I decided to go forward with those relationships, knowing that they were no good. In the end, my children were the ones who suffered mostly from it, because even to this day, we have talks about it. They talk about, you know, they healed from it, but they talk about what they went through during that time that I wasn't aware because I was going through what I was going through. But, you know, for all of us who do have children, your children suffer that abuse just as much as you do, and sometimes more. And it may not be the physical abuse that they suffer, but the fact that, like, a son seeing his mom being abused and he can't defend her, you don't know what that does to his ego as a male, or, you know, how that trains him up to be a man. And your daughters, how they will look at men. So, you know, I just say be very, we just have to be stronger and standing for what's right within ourselves and not just be weak to something to rush into it, because that's the easiest thing. Like you said earlier, the easiest thing, you give somebody a simple walk away, but the easiest thing is to just rush into a relationship when you're not ready or he's not ready. And then the hardest thing is getting out of it because all the damage that has been done. And then once you're out of it, healing from that and becoming a better person for yourself, for your children, for your family, for your community, all those things. So I think, you know, it's just a culmination of a lot of things. And one of the biggest lessons I learned was that everybody who you may call a sister or a friend is not, because they can be all in your business trying to give you advice, but they're giving you advice on to do things because they're, like you said, sometimes they're jealous, all these different things. So, you know, we just have to be mindful of all of our choices. But the most important thing is, if you have children, to look at what it may do to them. Safely.
May the Most High be praised. To the Rabbah. You see, the commonality in all this is everybody has a story to tell about their past. It is a horrifying story, but you only hearing one side of the story. See, they may have a whole slew of different things that they can say in reference to how she was in that relationship. But you know what the clincher was for me? That it appears as if she was the man and he was the woman. That's what it appears to be. She's the one's the breadwinner. She's the one's taking care of everything. She's the ones that the houses are in her name and all. That's the man's position. Now, if the man put that house in your name, that's one thing. If the man brought the car, supplied the car, but gave it to you and put it in your name, that's another thing. Because that's how men move. Wise men, at least. They'll do take things of that nature. But it appears as if she was the one who had all the responsibility, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. She got to go out and make sure the children eat that night. She got to go out and make sure that the lights are on, the water are flowing through the pipes, while he do what? Run the streets and grab women from wherever he chooses to have intercourse, and then he think he's man enough to bring them diseased women back home and say, hey, y'all, this is our other wife. This is wife number 3. And where do we get this? Males is just unbelievable how they move, operate, and think. Just unbelievable. But this is abuse. That's a mental form of abuse. But a lot of females would allow that type of behavior to go on because they don't want to be alone. They don't want to be single. They don't want to be embarrassed. Or they love the sex. The sex is great. It'd be off the bedpost, off the ceiling, and off the chain. So they won't give it up for those reasons. And it's not good. There comes a time in your life when you got to say enough is enough. You got enough comments there. You want to talk to them? And we're going to get ready to wrap it up soon, family. But you got comments there in the room. You want to address some of those comments, please?
Graham says, remember Hagar was being treated bad by Sarah or Sarai. The angel of El Shaddai told her to go back and submit herself to her mistress. So just getting up and leaving is no good as well. Basically, it wasn't an excuse to leave.
All right.
I don't know. Well, I think that's kind of like a different subject, to be honest. Because Sarah was the wife, Hagar was the concubine or the mistress or the whatever. She was the servant that she gave to her husband. But Sarah wasn't the one abusing Hagar. Hagar was the one being, teasing her and coming at her because she didn't have a child and all that stuff, right? So I think it's a little different, but I guess I get what he's saying. Sister Saadia said, a child friend of mine, her mother died because of AIDS that she contracted from her husband. All praises created that you respected your boundaries and the Most High protected you. She said, that's so wicked. He said, yep, that's what happens when it's rushed, sis. It's true. And then he said, and most heads of leaders are self-made leaders, so you got to watch who you go to for advice, sisters.
Absolutely.
Sister TC says, yes, it took some years, but I learned you can't change anyone, but you can change how you react to what they do or say.
And that's very important.
Yeah. And Bram says, Solomon, Shlomo told us, can't make straight what El Shaddai made crooked. It's true. Sister Saadia says, Cain, I learned that just because I'm a friend to someone does not mean that they are a friend to me. May the Most High be praised through it all.
Absolutely.
Brother Zante says, my children didn't come from one night stands, but they did come from rushed relationships that I hadn't taken the time to properly court and seek out before making the decision to come together.
Now you see, go back to that for a second. You see the improvement that he's learned in such a short period of time, just having these conversations. Now, this is a man talking. He learned about a reflection of his life and how to improve it. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what this is about. Read on, please.
Okay. Sister Saadi said, Cain, I was the man. I refuse to wear that what pertains to a man anymore. Lo Toda.
Absolutely, because a woman is easy for a woman to fall in that position.
Yeah. Sister TC says that Princess Medaya, the creator, was God of your strength, and I'm happy you got out. Hallelujah. And Bram says the men Yisrael need to stop being bums. If you don't have a career and income, you can't marry no one. You're a bum. So true. And Sister Tara says, yes, the mental abuse is destroying to the soul, and sometimes men can use mental abuse with children as well and develop an emotional incest relationship with their child while continuing with the wife. Ugh, disgusting. Sister Tixi says, I stand guilty of allowing myself to be the husband in my past marriages. Sorry, continuing the mental abuse with the wife. Right. And then Brother Zante says, which is just as destructive and unbecoming. It's so important to truly understand and have true courtship when it comes to choosing a mate. You may both have big common interests, but it's the small things that we ignore in the beginning that will ultimately destroy that marriage and bond.
Very good.
Uzziah says, if it takes more than what people want to put out, it takes patience and time.
Absolutely. And that's key to it all.
Autumn says, women should ask themselves when courting. One thing my father asked me was, it sounds like he has a good relationship with you, but do you have a good relationship with him? That question really shaped my perspective and something I don't think she's finished. So, Graham says,
Women should act, that I want women should ask themselves. I don't know.
well, yeah, I'll wait if it's coming up. Graham says, my mother played a song for her sons called Take Time to Know Her. Sisters do the same. Azante says, small things that I read that. Zaquena Sakari says, if you have young ones, you want them to know both sides of the family. Good relationship and connection to both parents is important unless it's not. And I like what she said about that. But I think too, also looking at that, it is good for them to know both sides of the family, unless that one side is toxic and continues. Because I could just be real with y'all. Like my daughter, who's 15, like she doesn't have a relationship with her father because whenever she sees him, it's always toxic. It's never anything nice to her. He's always talking down about me or my husband or my family or her siblings. And so she just got to the point, she made a decision for herself that she didn't want to be put in that situation as a child. She said, that's not fair to me. I come over to spend time with you or she has younger siblings with him. And it got so bad that she didn't even want to go over there and spend time with her younger siblings because the majority of the time when we would meet and I have to drop them off, she said the whole ride back to his house and the whole ride coming back to me would just be him badgering the children, talking about me in a way to try to convince them and manipulate their mind to hate me and to want to come and live with him. And once she decided that she didn't want that for herself, he started to then badger her and talk hate words to her, to the siblings that live with him, to the point now when she calls them, they tell her they don't want to talk to her and they're disappointed in her. And for me, going that abuse for myself from him hurt, but seeing that he's doing it to my daughter hurts even worse because that just shows he has no type of respect and he doesn't love her, and that's his child. So imagine, what he feels for a person who's not his blood. So, it's just lessons learned. We have to learn those lessons. But what I do appreciate, that the Creator has allowed me and my daughter to be in a family, in a marriage. I'm in a marriage. She's now has a father figure, my husband, who's her father, who she can look at him and call him and talk about TV shows and laugh and actually, call him and just be like, just chop it up with him in a daughter-father relationship that she, deserves to have. And I'm just blessed that, she has that in my husband, even though, we all wish that our children have it with their fathers, but sometimes the Creator doesn't allow it that way. And I'm also happy that she didn't allow my greatest blessing from that relationship for her, that she didn't allow her father to destroy her perspective of having a father in her life. And I think the beauty also is not just with my husband, but her uncles, my brothers, they don't play about her. They call, check up on her, give her money. Whenever they see her, they make sure that she knows that she's loved immensely. The same with my father. And so I'm thankful, that the Creator has given her so many positive and righteous resemblance of men in in this world. Even the men that live on Beulah land with us, like to see how they even show their love to Ezekiel and make sure she's always good. It's beautiful. So I think best thing we can do is if we made those bad decisions, wrong decisions, I don't call them mistakes because they were our decisions and our choices. When we're out of those situations, we have to do our best to make sure that we find a way to replenish what they have lost, but replenish it more with more great things for them so that they don't lose themselves or go out and become grown women searching for a father in random men, because that's what happens to a lot of young girls. So sorry, but Zehu, that was long-winded.
Zehu, we started at 6:44 and we stopped at 7:03, 7:09, and she talking about, I know that was long-winded. Woo! but it's all right because it was from your soul, is what you felt you needed to express. And I'm sure it helped a lot of other people. So may the Most High be praised, because that's what we're here for. So before we close it out, family,
Oh, it was some comments I was just.
go ahead. I got it. Go ahead.
Sister Uzziah says that doesn't always apply. Getting to know your spouse's family. That's true, because they will lie. She was just saying that's awful. Bram says that's good. She stayed in her place because that's her father. Gotta honor, but she gotta honor her mother as well. And she don't need to be hearing about that about her mother. Shame, shaking my head. Shame on him. Zaquina Sukari says save the young ones. Bram says, like the sister said earlier, some of us don't need to be fathers. Nasi says, all praise to the Most High, our power, first and foremost. Second, shalom, happy Shabbat. I am a holistic health and nutrition expert. If Positive Israel has any questions, email Prince Shadaya@yahoo.com.
Babe, take that email down, please.
Okay.
Did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh, I was really actually about to say something about that. I was just about to say something about that.
Babe, I didn't mean delete it. I meant take it down, copy it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, brother.
I mean,
Now, see, if you're still listening, please put that back in the room if you're listening, Nasi. We need healers in this nation.
take it down.
Remove it. I meant write it down so I can get to it later. Please forgive me.
Yeah, because take it down for me meant like delete it. Okay. So but yeah, if you put it back up, I'll copy it down for you. So luckily. Yeah, I just, it's just a lot we have to, I think I'm just thankful truly for this platform. I'm thankful that, the sisters get to express themselves as well as the brothers, because I see that it has been healing for the brothers too. Because one thing is we always say about how the sisters are so hurt, but brothers get hurt just as easily. And I like what I brought out about he saw that crazy sign and was like, nah, cut it. Even when she tried to pursue more, he was like, no, he didn't even give it a second chance or thought to infiltrate his righteousness. And that's what we got to look at when evilness is coming and wickedness, and we allow it to come in and we are righteous being, or we're striving to be. That wickedness, that evil spirit is going to infiltrate your righteousness and your positivity, and you're going to become, and in most cases, the woman becomes what that man is. And if he's evil and wicked, that's what you become for that period of time until the Most High, wakes your mind up or your heart up to be and do better. But even still, I think like what Graham said, like you still got to honor that husband, but you got to find a way to respectfully honor him and still find who you are in that process. So, yeah, that's it. I don't know if that was one.
Did you ban him or did you just take it down? I mean, what?
I just deleted it. I didn't take it down. I mean, I didn't ban him.
All right. So maybe you can go watch the recording and try to catch it at this point at 3 hours and 13 minutes, 3 hours and 10 minutes, and then try to.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So may the Most High be praised. Very good. Very good. So is anyone on the panel wish to say anything before we close out?
Before we close out, one thing that, in light of everything that has been said, is that I offer Isaiah 58:12, that we seek the ancient paths and seek the old ways and seek the foundations of what family and what the Abba has given us to be, and that way, and we build up the walls, and that we be the repairers of the breach. There has been a drastic breach among our people. There is so much healing that needs to take place. So this is where sympathy, empathy, and the capacity to hear and be ready to heal comes into play. And that where we as the men, where even as it says elsewhere in the writings, that you quit yourselves like men, that we be the men, not males. that we be the men, and like I say, we be the ears, be the sounding boards when need be, and that we can be the repairers of the breach. We be the examples. Even as Princess said that Torah Rabbah, for you being a great example for your children to be, so they can look up and see, okay, we've seen, and so many others have already seen the examples of the bad. They've seen the examples of what a horrible father is. But Torah Rabbah, for you and so many other men, and I applaud those that are out there standing and that are being the examples for the children, and even for the women that are out there to say, okay, this is what a righteous and an upright man looks like. This is the example of what we need to look for. And for those that are not in that place, my prayer is that the Abin, that the Ruach leads and guides them to those places where they can see. And this is again where our community is key, that even though we're apart physically, many of us, that where we can still Torah Rabbah for platforms like this, and for many times social media, for at least the told part of it, to where even though we may not be together physically, that we can be together virtually and still connect and still help and bring healing until we can all come together physically and unite with other communities, again, like-minded individuals, to where we can bring healing. Because again, all we have is us, and we are many, and we still of the diaspora. There are still many of us that are scattered. And so again, Torah for those that are out listening, so that they can know that there's a place where they can come and find healing, and that we can link, we can network, and do what we need to do to be the repairers of the breach. And again, Torah Rabbah for having me, and I yield. Shalom to you all.
Man,
Much love.
God be praised. Torah Rabbah. Torah Rabbah. Now, Nasi, if you're still here, Nasi, put that email back in the room, please, so we can contact you. May the Most High be praised. Anyone else? Ishi, Ima, any other comments? And Abba, you did a spectacular job. We're going to have you come back more often, man. Spectacular job. We're going to have to definitely get you back more. We might have to make you a regular, man. I don't know, man. We might have to ask you to come every week. Yeah. We can use that eldership in the house. We can use that and the wisdom. All right. Any other questions or comments, family, before we close out? Any other questions or comments? Nobody else, huh?
He didn't put it back in there, but if he puts it in after we go offline, it'll still show up. So we can do it that way.
All right, Sister Kaya, Casey, is there anything you would like to say, sis, before we close out?
Yes.
Sister Chasey? Okay, go ahead, sis. You got the floor.
Okay, yeah. I just want to just put in that we need to practice what we preach as well, because I know when you were stating about fathers telling their daughters or their sons, oh, not to do this or not to do that. They shouldn't get into certain situations, or they shouldn't beat their girlfriends, or they shouldn't be with a man that beats them. But however, if that child is also seeing that in their household from their parents, how could they listen to that parent saying not to do this and not to do that, when that's what they're seeing? They're already they're already traumatized from what they've experienced. So most likely they're going to fall into the same type of situation, because like they said, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. We usually, especially as daughters, we tend to look for males just like how our fathers were. So if we saw our father beating their mom or beating our mom or whatever it is, sometimes unknowingly we're attracted to that type of guy, or we didn't even, sometimes it's like we ignore the signs of that guy enter into our lives. So I don't know, it kind of trickles down from generation to generation what we've experienced in our household. So I just try to say, just fathers, us as parents, we need to be.
We lost you, sis.
I think she's driving. What's going on?
Sis, we lost the last little part. We need to try to.
I said we need to try to, be better examples for our children so they can grow up to be better than what we've experienced.
Absolutely. That's the whole purpose. That's what it's all about. And thank you for your contribution. And sis, thank you for coming in and helping out during this time of day. You always can come back too, as you're a big help to help us get through. And you've experienced a lot in your little time on this earth. So you got a good advice, you got good situations that you can present, and there are hundreds and hundreds of people that can help to receive healing through classes like this, through teachings like this, just by us taking the time to give them a place where they can come in here and possibly let some of it off their chest. You'll be surprised at the great works that we have done on just this day. May the Most High be praised. All right. Any other questions or comments before we close it out, family?
One more comment from Shacey. I
Yes.
think just a recommendation for next week, possibly if we can, because I did try to reach out to Princess this week. Maybe a next topic could be on how to properly court, how to properly date, because a lot of us know that what we want, but we don't know the proper steps on how to do it.
All right. That sounds good. We can do that. What you think, Iman? We can do that next week? How to properly court, how to properly date. And I already got it all written up, so I just need to bring it up on the screen and we go list by list by list by list. I like that. We can make that happen. May the Most High be praised. Any other questions or comments before we close this out? Can we turn and face the east so we can make prayer to the Creator? Close out our class. Abi, we abatenu, salapanu kol Yisrael ketot anaknu osim lifneata. Abi, at this time we ask of thee for permission to approach unto thy throne. Father, thou who reignest in the heavens, and look down upon the earth and all the flesh therein, we honor you. We praise your holy name. We glorify you on this day and every day. We give you your due respect, the best we are able to give while trapped in this flesh. Please forgive us of our sins and our iniquities. Please allow the message of today, and with this true intent, to go out into the earth and begin the process of healing for so many souls. Be a form of protection around those who are truly abused and not the source of those who are being abused, but be a protection around them who are innocent in their ways. And for those who are not innocent, expose them to their wrongdoings so that they may change their mindset and change their behavior and possibly preserve their lives. Please, O Most High, speak into our inner parts and help us to rise to the occasion to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be. The best husbands, the best mothers, the best wives, the best fathers, the best servants unto thee. Help us, Almighty One, for without your help, without your love, without your mercy, we can't achieve anything. So therefore, we lay our petition at the foot of your throne. And we ask of thee that thou would hear, that thou would pay attention to our requests, and that thou would speedily grant a positive result throughout the nation of Israel worldwide. so that we may begin the healing process of fathers returning back to the duties of fatherhood, of mothers returning back to the duties of motherhood, of families returning back to the true principles and natures of what family is all about. Thank you, Father, for hearing our prayer and allowing us the opportunity to come before thee to praise and worship your name before the entire earth. Unto thee we humble ourselves now and forevermore, and we all say, Toda Abi, Abi, Toda Rabbah. Thank you, Father, for hearing our prayers.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, Ima Naomi.
Shabbat shalom, Iman. Shabbat shalom. First and foremost, second shalom, that there is a such thing as mind control through diet. Yes, all that is true, but you didn't put it back up. I guess you don't want us to have it. All right. Shabbat shalom, Ima. How are you, Ima? All right. We're going to close out. If there's no more questions or comments, we're going to close it out now. The time is 7:25. And I think we're good to close it out. May the Most High be with you all. Toda Rabbah for coming out, spending your time with us.
And yeah, always welcome to come back.
But we ain't have you, you had us.
Mhm.
Thank you for all your help and support and all your contributions. You'll be back next week, though, right, Abba? May the Most High be praised. Absolutely. Shalom, shalom.
And one more thing from Shacey, I'd like to send thanks to Abba and Azante for actually coming and helping with our questions and putting their points of view and perceptions into this situation was greatly helpful. And if we do speak about courting and dating next week, I would love to have their point of views on it as well.
All right. May the Most High be praised. Y'all heard that, right? Abba, you heard that, right? Azante, you heard that, right? All right.